Tyler, AKA Emo Cowboy, is back with us today for a couple Best Ball Mania drafts. Tyler, I don't know if you're going to stay for both of them. I'm going to be doing two drafts. I know sometimes you have other things going on. You don't need to decide now if you're not sure how long you're going to be able to stick around. But we're going to do at least one draft together, and then of course you are welcome to stay for the second one. How are you doing this afternoon, Tyler?
Doing fantastic, man. We're finally getting some worthwhile and useless news, and it is officially sift through what's worthwhile and what's not season. It's great.
That is the most fun, isn't it? When you start hearing these rumors of, oh, this guy looks great, and then you hear about like minor injuries here and there. It's fun to kind of like be able to have some news to react to. Like we've been kind of in a dead zone of. I mean, there was the draft obviously not too long ago, but for the most part, I feel like we've been in sort of a news dead zone. Do you enjoy this part of the offseason where we do finally start to get some potentially relevant news?
Oh yeah, I mean it's if nothing else, it's nice that something is shifting ADP at some point in the drafts, which that alone makes it more interesting and less boring and monotonous. Um, but this is like, did you call like for some of us like did you call your shot right or things? Like, do you get to start victory lapping early takes, or are you having to adjust quickly? And I love this time of season because of just information. Information is an edge, and the faster you can act on it, like all those things are awesome. So just one thing I'm trying to be mindful of this summer that especially like this is more like towards the end of the summer, but to not stay too grounded to priors. Be as flexible as water. Bruce
Yep.
Lee, be like water. This info is going to come hard and fast, and ride it to the right spots. Don't get overtaken and drown in the river. So I
Yep.
love this part of the summer.
I do too. Yeah, it's a great part of the summer, and that's a good call. We can't be stuck, to our old takes because I was just looking at my exposures from the pre-draft stuff, the contest that happened before the NFL draft, and my like three of my top exposures. It might even be my three top exposures are um, Ibanakanda, who like now looks pretty dead. Like it just like looks like up
Yeah.
35% of your team's just like lost a roster spot there. I mean, obviously that he could still be something, but kind of feeling that way that he's probably dead. Kenneth Gainwell, who definitely lost a little bit of steam after they signed Saquon and then also drafted Will Shipley. So like that looks, and then Andre Yoshevich, who like I was thinking probably going to be the wide receiver 3 for the Bengals. Now it kind of feels like he's behind Jermaine Burton. I think that that's something that we could get news that Yoshevich is, running with the first team, whatever, something could happen there. But like right now, a lot of my old exposures looking pretty dead. So good thing I have pivoted pretty hard since the draft happened. Is there
Yeah.
any particular news that you feel really good about, feel really bad about that you think we need to be factoring in from recently? Um,
Uh, I mean, grain of salt season, like a lot of
yeah,
guys are not at camp or they're on rest weeks, like especially the veterans. The guys holding out for contracts like Chase and CD are going to see their teammates pop and get work because they're not on the field. And we don't expect that to stay the course whenever they're back on the field. So really and truly, I think the stuff to pay attention to that's more actionable, and today's been a good example of that is like the rookie quarterbacks that have veterans in front of them. So specifically Drake May getting talk about like he started OTAs as like the last guy in the pecking order, and now he's jumped to be taking reps right behind Brissett, and he's getting positive like, hey, I like what he's doing. I like what I'm seeing. The footwork's good. He fits the scheme. All that stuff from the OC, the coaches. So like getting positive buzz early on a guy who's raw and could miss the whole season behind Jacoby Brissett.
right.
Some of that you start to, if you're a bull, you're like, okay, I'm gonna keep pushing this, and I think the risk that he sits all season was always pretty thin. But I think when you already start hearing stuff like that in what is it, June 4th,
Yeah.
I think you start feeling really good about his odds to get on the field well before midway through the season. If he's already like, top 3 pick, who's starting to kind of, Van Pelt, the OC there, running that like Stefanski style offense, is saying he always fit my system. And I'm like, and what I'm seeing, like those are good things that this is the start of drumbeat, and hearing and notifying that in your head early on, I think is where you can start making moves. The Braylon Allen backup, blah blah blah, like that's the type of stuff I think we can get out over our skis because you see Braylon Allen making these catches, and then you read, well, it's from Tyrod Taylor with the second and third string guys. Isaiah Davis is catching dump offs from Aaron Rodgers. It's like, okay, so we're not getting confirmation of anything except they hate Izzy. Like,
Right.
but you can make it out however you want. But if you take the full context, you start to go, okay, we've learned some stuff and we've yet to learn some other stuff. And it's just, you have to adjust to these things. And
Yep,
it's not just a
absolutely.
week to week thing.
Yeah, and then there's the Audric Estime, injury news kind of comes out, which honestly does scare me a little bit off of Estime, just a little bit. Are you not afraid of the injury news at all, or are you? Wow, you're shaking your head. Explain.
No, so not a doctor, but married one, and listen to. I mean, and one thing, I listen to like every single fantasy doctor, and the good ones. We know the blowhards, but like the grinders who were awesome, Edwin Porras, Jeff Mueller, and Adam Hutchinson. Like those guys are fantastic. They do fantastic work. I consume their YouTube videos, their podcasts, their articles. I bring up their timetable stuff on the regular to remind myself, because every once in a while, like there's just a lot of injuries. I lose track.
I might need to ask you to send me some
Yeah.
stuff here.
So
That
this
sounds
stuff is
useful.
important as like early, mid, and late summer to adjust to, and we're going to get more of that. But as far as the knee scope goes, knee scope is just going to clean out. It's pretty like they're not concerned. And Coach Speak Index noted that one of the few things Sean Payton is reliable on, like 90% reliability on injury stuff. And Payton said, this is not a big concern. He's just cleaning stuff out. It's early enough in the offseason. This is what we want to do. We want to make sure they're good and clean going into camp. That's not a big
Okay.
deal. So as far as like health stuff, I don't think that's a big concern. I think you're nothing has changed on the 5th round running back bet.
Yeah.
As far as that's concerned, unless we hear anything negative going from here. But from here on, we have nothing to assume, but this is a normal procedural cleanup stuff. And knee scopes are not major surgeries. I mean, he was probably out the next day or whatever.
Okay. Yeah, that is reassuring because I do have a good amount of Audric Estimate in my portfolio, mostly pre-draft, but also some post-draft stuff. So that is
Yeah.
reassuring to hear. All right, I'm gonna jump into a draft for us. I will say the funniest piece of news that I think we got today, or maybe we got it yesterday, was the Mike McCarthy plans to use 2 to 3 running backs news, which news I should put in quotes because I'm like,
Yeah.
was there ever a chance that he was not going to be using like were people thinking that Rico Dowdle or Zeke is going to run like 100%? Are they just going to be get 100% of touches? Like is this news at all?
Well, and it's not news because this isn't new. Like the operative word of news is new,
Right.
so. And for the last month, they've been pretty steady. The beat says expectations, and the coaching staff has been, hey, they didn't call it a committee, but they said we're going to rotate guys. We're going to use multiple guys. So we've just heard the same thing for 5 weeks straight in different words from different people that we will utilize multiple guys for multiple things. So yeah, this isn't news.
Right.
If people want to act on it, sure, but yeah, people are going to act like we're learning stuff for the first time. And I think the only thing that can be valuable there is just if something minuscule that we should have already known is being double counted by the market. And
Yeah.
I haven't seen that happen with the Dallas backs yet. The one I expect to see is Deuce Vaughn starting to get drafted late because he's working in the slot. And for whatever reason,
Always love that.
we never learn our lesson with
Running backs working in the slot.
yeah, and if we want to read between like the lines on that one, small running back who didn't really crack the lineup in a pretty disappointing backfield with a 4th-year player in Rico Dowdle, is now working in the slot as Mike McCarthy, quote, tries to figure out what his role is going to be. If we're going to read between the lines, that doesn't really, and I know this is Steph's in the chat, so this is blasphemy, but that doesn't really bode well for small boy can no run, running routes out of the slot. Because last I checked, Lamb and Brandon Cook should be running a majority of their routes out of the slot. So bumping them out for Deuce Vaughn seems not good. Right, and that's the other thing. CD is holding out, so maybe he's just working slot because, well, fuck it, why not? We don't
We
have
don't
our
need you, CD. We've got Deuce Vaughn.
yeah. So that's a good example of like nothing burger news.
Yeah, I mean, and that is something that I've fallen for multiple times before. Like the running back, where it's like he just has one more out. Like we're looking for ways that this guy can get here. Now he's running the slot, and then it's like just never happens. It's maybe
Yeah,
a handful of times throughout the year, but it just never really amounts to anything. Yeah, that's a good call out
I
there.
guess running back news that is noteworthy, but easily.
We
Did we
got
get
the
101
101. We
again?
got the 101. Yeah, how do you feel about the
Dude,
101 right now?
I'm running pure as hell. Third stream in a row that I've been on that we've got the
No way.
101.
Oh
Holy
man.
crap.
Do we just go McCaffrey? Do you want to make this decision before we continue the conversation?
I mean, here's the thing. The dude just got extra money for next year and potentially the year after that. So they're saying they don't have an issue with his age or his position. So nice C40 in the 107. So CMC feels like the easy smash, buys us some flexibility. But if you need to catch up on CeeDee Lamb, I understand.
No, let's just go McCaffrey here since we have the spot. Yeah, looking at who made it in. Alex Keaton in the 4 hole. I see Rico
Hell yeah.
Law. I don't know Rico. Chris Ford in the 7 hole, as you noted. Let's see.
Rico Law
I've
is
seen. I
hilarious.
know that I've seen. Oh, Stephanie made it in here in the 11 hole.
Yep.
Shock trauma. I've seen. Okay. All right.
Snatch catchers, I'm familiar with from Spag streams.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, he's a big time drafter. He's been in several of these drafts. Always good to have Chris in chat.
Hell yeah. Another reason I like the CMC thing is because, and I think we've talked about this. I know I've talked about it, but I'll just reiterate that like one thing we would really like with camp is finding out who the backup running backs are and what their roles, if they're going to have standalone or just contingent value. And then we'll also find out which running backs are more fragile from like a health or a workload standpoint throughout camp. And those are like super valuable picks late in the draft. And we don't really have a lot of those right now. So the nice thing about CMC is it's buying you some flexibility to either take shots on those guys, knowing that if he pays off, which is what you need for the bet to pay off, he's going to drag a bunch of nothing burger darts late with him anyway, or you don't have to waste picks on those guys because you can have a much smaller running back room. So just the value that CMC affords you from a build standpoint, I think is somewhat underappreciated in some of these draft rooms by some drafters that are kind of like get funky with the 101, like CeeDee Lamb, Chase, Jefferson, whatever.
Bindles and I got CMC at the 3 hole yesterday, so that was fun to get CMC there.
That's right. Yeah.
But it happens so infrequently that it's like I think he goes at the 101 probably 85% of drafts would be my guess. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but
probably even more than that.
Yeah, you just got to take him. I mean, you don't have to. If you're doing 150 drafts, it makes sense to me to get some CMC in that 1 hole. So I've just been going CMC at the 1. I've been going CMC if he falls to the 2 or 3. He was so good last year. He just kind of separated from the rest of running backs so much.
Yeah, and if they move on from any one of the receivers, he gets a huge boost because we don't know if the guy replacing him in either Pearsall or Cowing, is going to be any good. And when the cards are down, they go to CMC. Like he is the engine of this offense. And he was just paid like it, extended today. And then outside of that, it's like, from a week 17 is all that matters, single game slate. He's going to project the highest points guy, if healthy, on the week. And so like he hits all the boxes of affords you positional allocation flexibility, affords you a huge advance rate boost if he is the RB1 again, and he affords you like a high projection floor ceiling at a running back spot you only start 2 at, and that flexibility that gives you to attack the rest of your roster and kind of leverage things. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. And until we see a drop off, which last year he did see a boost in some underlying efficiencies. So yeah, just for a pass catching guy who's just been really good, and ever since changing his workout regimen a couple years ago, which went underappreciated by some folks, to help with his like pliability and his flexibility and his longevity, he's been crushing. He's been super healthy, and his backups are kind of a bunch of guys who struggle with injury or TBD what their abilities are.
Right.
So yeah, I
Eli
mean,
Mitchell,
it's
I
just
think, is good, but
easy
yeah,
bet.
just always
Yeah.
hurt. You've used the phrase underappreciated by some folks twice now, and I feel like you're subtweeting people. Who are we subtweeting here?
I'm subtweeting like the Twitter, Discord, like fantasy sphere. This is way too many people to, and if we go back 2 years ago, all the people that were saying you can't take CMC first round, he's too
Yeah,
injured. Like it's subtweeting those people that misrepresent injury proneness and true injury risk. I think it's widely understood and underappreciated by a lot of people, and it's one thing I've tried to make myself be much more cognizant of. And I told Bendels we did the beginning of the year we did a like a New Year's resolution for fantasy football, and one of the things I bemoaned was not really like in the fish bunk back in the resolution stream, that I wasn't consistent with that last year when we got like Bateman and Burke struggling with injury stuff in camp, and Cup and Kelsey getting injured late in the season, getting swept up in like, oh, look at this value I'm getting now that he's dropping, and forgetting the roots of everything I just spent the summer talking about was injuries and missed time for skill position players is bad, especially early on, and injuries sustained late in camp are not likely to get better later in the season, blah, blah, blah. So I'm trying to be mindful of that stuff to like, that's one of the few, like, do not stay anchored when a new injury emerges.
good call. All right, so we have by the rankings. These are the ETR rankings I have in here. Devonta Smith number one. We could go Smith and Hurts for kind of a rare combo here, but if I sort by ADP, it'd be Mike Evans, Devin Achan, Diggs, Smith, Neighbors. Anybody you like here?
I'm never going to be mad at going to receiver. I don't think the Hurts thing is prudent. Um,
Which do you like, Evans?
I like Evans a lot, but I've been doing a lot of Evans, so we could do.
We got Evans, I think.
Yeah, we did.
I know. Last time we streamed together, I did prove that I can go back in time to make the click. But
You can,
let's
yeah.
figure this one out ahead of time. So we got Diggs, Devonta Smith. If I sort by ranking, it would be Devonta Smith, Malik Neighbors, DK Metcalf, and anybody that you like from this group.
You know what? Let's do some Smith and see if we can't get something falling. I did CMC Evans Neighbors with Fantasy Dog Pound last night. That was a fun stream, but I think flat tier. I think just mix and match. One of the things I've been
Yeah,
trying to like take away from the leg up stuff with Sack and Crane, like, hey, diversify some of your stuff, especially at the top, because these guys all project pretty similarly right now. They'll probably project pretty similarly week 17. So, one of the things to make the CMC thing valuable is having different combinations of guys. And the way I see Evans, I do think, we know he's volatile season to season about how many touchdowns and how many yards he will end up getting over 1,000. But we do know his weekly ceiling remains like top 5 elite, like one of the few guys that can go off for 30 plus points any given time with whoever's at quarterback. Like it does not matter. He can catch 2-3 touchdowns. And so I like having access to that a lot, even if he could be, I've seen some folks say like, oh, he's too expensive because he goes from 7th round to 5th round to 2nd round to 7th round. I'm like, yeah, I get that. And I think that's just overreacting to stuff. But if we're talking like single game, like ceiling, I like having that in my room a lot. And so from Devonta's standpoint, we should expect the Philly offense to get much better with a better offensive coaching scheme, utilizing motion and all that good stuff. So, and that should just feed AJ Brown a lot and Devonta Smith. I think Goddard probably misses out a good chunk of that. So I view Smith kind of as a floor play with a really great week 17, opponent in Dallas that should push them. And then Evans is at just huge ceiling any given week.
We also do you try to build out for that Dallas Philly game? Like, at the turn here, like it'd be a little bit of a reach to go for Ferguson Dak at 72, 73, but that's also something that to me I'm not really opposed to. I know you just said that you don't think it was prudent to take Jalen Hurts at the 2-3 turn here. Are you opposed to reaching in general for quarterbacks?
I'm not. I think it's just the earlier you reach, the more you're sacrificing.
True.
And I think that's not prudent this point in the drafting
Yeah.
season whenever we don't know how ADPs are going to shift. Pete talks about that all the time. So, yeah, from that standpoint, I think if you're doing that, it's probably because you took Lamb and Lamb is your bring back. And I get it. I'd rather do that later in the season knowing that that's not just a chalk thing and you're just giving up ADP CLV early if you're doing this summer long.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
But I think later on, yeah, if you're reaching to complete, stacks and provide value and you're doing it, I mean, because like what Ferg and Dak, that reach would be less than 10 picks for
Yeah,
either
not
guy.
bad.
Yeah, and after round 7, that's not that much. That's like reaching one spot in the first 2 rounds and 20 spots post round 14. So just trying to be mindful of like when and where the reaches are happening.
I'm let me look at where's Devontae Smith. His ADP is up to 28. I was just thinking where Stephanie is drafting. You used to frequently be able to, so she took AJ Brown. We took Devontae Smith at the other end of the board. He used to frequently be somebody you could get. Like you could get
Yep.
all of the Philly guys here. And I do you think that is that just the ETR rankings coming out and sort of shifting the landscape? I sort of feel like that's what happened. Is just all the guys that they have really high. Like I think that they are moving the market more than maybe we give them credit for. Do you think it's something else, or do you think that that's just straight up
I
what it
mean,
is?
they get a lot of credit in the circles I run in for
Well, yeah, for
shifting the
moving the
market,
markets. Yeah,
and we know now that like leg. I think we can say with certainty that leg up and ETR rankings move the market on both ends of the spectrum from a ranking standpoint. But also, the second the schedule came out, Smith started going way closer to Lamb at the 2-3 turn for the
oh sure,
for the correlation. So I think that was just likely to happen regardless. But that was another ADP shift that it was unique until it wasn't, and now now it's unique to get him falling past the middle of the third.
right. Yeah, now I'm questioning, did I get that because it's so hard to do now. Obviously at one
Did you
point
get it
it was
early?
pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping that I got some of it early because we might be done with those days where you can just stack up all of your Eagles.
Well, and then we also always underappreciate that the casual crowd coming in late summer is going to shift ADPs again because these rankings will adjust to new ADP landscape.
Yeah. All right, so we are coming up on our term. We have McCaffrey, Evans, and Devonta Smith. Um, we could go. Oh wait, Lamar went. Okay, sorry. Could go for one of these elite tight ends. We could go. I don't really love doing naked Mahomes unless we're going to add on a Xavier
Let's
Worthy or
double tap
something.
receiver and just play the room.
Allen McLaurin, would those be your picks? Let's see.
I think definitely McLaurin, and then after that,
I do like
I think it's
McLaurin.
pretty flat. I have a
Yeah,
little bit of Shane Waldron fear, but I still like the profile of Keenan.
I'd be fine going Keenan. Yeah, I mean, this is a very solid receiver room. We could, branch out, go for somebody like a Xavier Worthy since we have the 3 vets already, or we could just build in one more vet, start thinking about rookies later
Let's
on.
let's do Worthy. I mean, if we're thinking late season, let's get some access to a high scoring offense. We know I'm going to say this like tongue in cheek, partially and partially serious. You must have a rookie receiver on your roster if you're going to win Best Ball Mania. That's
Absolutely,
just that's a
100%.
fact. So then this rookie happens to be a first round wide receiver with insane RAS, really awesome breakout freshman college production profile and contingent value if Kelsey's falling off late season, if Rice is just a big bodied, fancy, low ADOT Kelsey acolyte for the fill in, and Hollywood is who I think Hollywood is, which is a Hollywood beta at this point, then I think Worthy's got an awesome chance to smash both season long and over the course of the playoff gauntlet. So I love that, especially if we're thinking like if they roll Pittsburgh, who's likely to stay in and keep getting touches? It's probably the dude that's a rookie who's got fresh legs, and they're resting the old guys in Hollywood and Kelsey. So we can gigabrain that a lot of ways, but I just think a guy like that is more likely to move up than he is to move down. So if you're going to kind of reach for a guy in a tier, which I think this is another flat tier anyway, I'm always going to be a little hesitant taking a guy like Keenan, who is up there in age and who did kind of have a flare up of his hamstring and lower body again last year, but knowing full well he sat out because he knew he had no guaranteed
Right.
money on a team that was hitting, a big block. And my Gigabrain question to people is, are we worried at all that the Bears are exciting but still not good with a rookie quarterback in a really good division who missed the playoffs? or out of the hunt for it, and he's got no money and no contract after this year. What's keeping him from going, my shoulder's pretty tight, I'm going to sit in week 16 or 17 again? Like, I
Yeah,
don't know.
that's true. We're kind of assuming that the Bears are going to be good this year. They've added some pieces, like they were good at times last year, and the quarterback is pretty damn important. So yeah, we're all just making the assumption that the Bears are going to be good this year. There's no guarantee, especially with a rookie quarterback. Even though he is, really really good, we expect him to be great. Like might take a minute, might take a year or two. So that is a
Yeah.
good call. Like we just don't know for sure that the Bears are going to be as good as we are assuming they're going to be. Which also, I'm trying to decide if that would be a bonus for Odunze. Like if we do think Keenan Allen maybe later in the year is sitting out, but maybe that just means the Bears offense isn't good. You don't want anybody from it. So, a lot of different ways that could go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that doesn't, and in best ball, that doesn't preclude anybody from having some really, really valuable spike weeks. It's just really hard. And another thing with Keenan is the three dudes in that room, what are their roles going to be? Who's going to emerge? Who's going to pop? I mean, it's the same concern with the Houston guys, except we know Stroud is very, very good. We are hoping Caleb is very, very good. And we like Bobby Slowick. We kind of hate Shane Waldron. So I'm tempted to take the cheapest guy in Chicago rather than the second most expensive.
Yep. Looks like Godwin went. I was thinking we could add him to our stack, but he must have gone. Do we want to go? So we have four receivers already. We don't have a tight end. We could throw on we could do the Ferguson Dak thing here, or we could go running back. What are you thinking here?
I like Dak Ferguson, and I also don't mind Brian Thomas, DeAndre Hopkins double tap. So between those
I don't hate
two,
that either. And let's
I'm doing
let's
a
do
lot
the.
of it. It's fun. It gives us a
It
couple
is
out
fun.
back stacks. Also, like if we're gonna do this, it's nice to have multiple options at quarterback stack late, and we're betting on two offenses that could be, way overproducing, season long and down the stretch. So it's been my easy go to comfort blanket.
Yeah. No, I really like the Ferguson Dak double tap. You can kind of do it on the other turn, or even like I've even had it come back to us at our next turn. Like
Well,
that
that
is
and
rare these days, but it can
yeah,
happen.
yeah, yeah. That's the one reason why I'm like, I don't feel like I have to do it there
Yeah.
because
You
it
have your
makes
opportunities to
sense.
do the stack.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like there will be teams with CMC, with Dak and Ferguson, but they'll also have they'll have better 2v2 with their 6-7 pick, most likely versus ours. So
Yeah.
yeah, I like building kind of like this, especially because it allows us to stay ahead and not miss out on a valuable tier. Because this does seem like a sharper room, so you worry about just wide receiver depth and talent in general. It buys us some time.
Yeah, exactly. And we have several receivers here that do have later quarterback outs. So like
Yep.
we have obviously Xavier Worthy. We can't get Mahomes anymore, but like a lot of our receivers are paired with quarterbacks we can get fairly late. So I don't see the need to go early on the quarterback thing. I like the way this team is coming together. We do already have six receivers, so probably just one more maybe is what we'll go for here. We got McCaffrey at running back, and then we have Evans, Devonta Smith, Terry McLaurin, Xavier Worthy, Brian Thomas, and DeAndre Hopkins at wide receiver. Looks like a good start for our team. My concern when we do stuff like this, starting with six receivers in the first 7 rounds, and I do it plenty, but the one downside to this is you kind of pigeonhole yourself so that it is, we take away some of our optionality later on if we want if a couple great wide receivers fall in value, we can't really pounce on those as much because we took six early on. So sometimes I like to build a little bit more balanced early on. But I do think, to your point, this is kind of a piss boy room. Like these are the rooms where you just got to get your receivers when they're coming to you. And I think we got six really good receivers. So I think it was the
Yeah.
right move here. But obviously there are those concerns sometimes with building out this way early.
Yeah, and that point is always funny. When Nez was on, Nez has been on a couple of streams, and he's mentioned the whole like, and Pete made a joke about this. Like, this is the time of year where everybody's got a good story for the most part. Like every guy you like, they have a story you can tell yourself. And then you get into best ball resurrection season, week 4, 5, and 6, and everybody after pick 60 sucks, and you hate all of them.
I was listening to
so
that. Yeah.
so and I remind myself that of like, you know what? It's more likely that the top 60 to 70 picks right now are going to be filled with more hits than misses.
Yep.
and then everything after pick 80 is going to be a bloodbath of crap and meh. So at that point, yeah, I think what we did was prudent, which was we attacked some exciting veteran profiles, specifically in Evans and Nuke, that have like 3 touchdown upside, and we like what they and their offenses can give us in a single week and then potentially season long. But then we made sure to influx rookie talent that can really outperform. And they're not like, and if they do dud, it's, like it's not likely they do. And if they do, it's, the bet was sound on the offense, on the profile, and it doesn't preclude us from taking another exciting receiver. But I think it also gives us the optionality to take the most exciting receiver that we can instead of having to scramble for the older floor plays, because like guys like Lockett and Jacoby and Shaheed feel and seem really nice, but there are instances that those guys just aren't who we thought they were, or they, in Lockett specifically, hit an age cliff at going on, God, I think 35, or get superseded in a new offense with a new head coach, or with Jacoby, now he's got to compete with a awesome tight end prospect. So it's like they have a lot of question marks for a reason. And so not having to chase those guys versus falling optionality elsewhere feels nice.
All right, this is non-negotiable. I have a very, very strong opinion here. Do we want Jaden Daniels?
That is who I wanted to take and not feel pressure to take Dak. So
Thank
yeah,
God. Okay.
Jaden is a smash.
That was also part of my reasoning for not going the Dak route. Was I was like, man, we got Terry McLaurin. I love Jaden
Lockstep.
Daniels, so I'm glad that we are on the same page there. And then we can, I mean, we can figure out what we want to do next. So we have now a quarterback, running back, 6 receivers. We could go Ramondre here. If I sort by ADP, it's also Ramondre. I don't know. Anybody else yet? Or we could go one of these tight ends. Anything, any lean for you here?
I think it's probably a running back. I don't love Ramondre, but the ADP value on him is pretty like,
Enticing. Get your share here.
yeah. I mean, if you're going to take a guy like him, you're taking him at a spot where like he doesn't have to do much to really outperform this. And I mean,
Yeah.
it mitigates a lot of the risk. And one of the better, indicators of like just hitting is ADP value. And that, like, I don't like Ramondre, but right there with guy, I think he's right here is a good price for him. He's priced like Javante, like Singletary, like B Rob, who are in truly ambiguous backfields with new staffs and new quarterbacks in tow. Like, and with that, like we might be one of the few teams that took him with value. And as much as we as a community love Antonio Gibson, Gibson's kind of been relegated to gimmicky catch guy. And
Yeah.
with that wide receiver room in New England, it would not surprise me at all if he's kind of like running some like outside routes every now and then in lieu of KJ Osborne, who famously can't really separate. And maybe Ramondre is just really efficient in a Stefanski style offense, bringing over, like if he's Chubb and Gibson is Hunt just on a worse team. Well, I like Brissett as a veteran like stopgap, and Drake May is an exciting like Josh Allen potential. So it's like the upside of this offense for a change actually could really, really outproduce. And if they just score a little bit more often and they run heavy with just a little bit more efficiency, I mean, it's not hard for him to pay off a 9th-round pick. I don't hate it there at all.
Yeah, no, I think he makes sense here. Also, as you say, it's going to be kind of a unique pairing. Probably not a lot of teams going to have McCaffrey and Stevenson, and I don't think many people are really reaching for him at the 72-73 turn. Maybe that's happening some, but I think it's going to be somewhat unique pairing just based on where his ADP is kind of on the other side of the board. So a lot of positives there with Stevenson.
It also
And yeah,
opens up yet another late quarterback stack if we want.
True.
And we don't know what the Harbaugh like Chargers are going to look like. The last few years, their run defenses under their previous head coach were a joke. We expect them to get better, but they didn't really add a lot on defense to be better. So they might try really hard. They might try their best to be
Right.
better.
They're going to
But
try
if
so much harder this year.
you know what? If week 17 is just ground and pound slog fest between the Chargers and the Patriots, would any of us be surprised? Because the Patriots' brain trust has kind of been the same in the front office. So in that scenario, in December football with the Patriots out of contention, but trying to like establish their identity, Ramondre could see like 20 carries.
Yeah.
So like, there's worse things to bet on.
Bindle says Chargers D will be ass cheeks. I should acknowledge. Yeah, good to see you, Bindles. Chris, good to see you. Good morning. Good morning. David, Stephanie, good to see you all here hanging out with us. And Stephanie, I agree with you that where you got, who did she take? That was a great value. She took
I think she
I'm
got
blanking.
Keenan at 59, which
Keenan at
was
59. Yes,
yeah.
she got Keenan at 59. I agreed that I would like Keenan at 59. That seems like a solid price on him. Even though he is one of the players that I am not drafting a ton of in general. When I can get him falling past ADP, that's where I like to get my Keenan. Trying to see if
You
there's
know what's
any
better
correlation
than
there.
Keenan Allen at 59? Keenan Allen at 69. Very nice pick.
Nice, very nice. Yeah, let's see. So we are coming up back on our turn. That seemed to go pretty quickly. That couple rounds.
Dontavian Wicks going early. They've been Davis Maddock pilled.
Oh, come on. We're giving Davis Maddock credit for Dontavian Wicks.
No. I'm joking that Maddock was saying you got to take him in like the 10th round, otherwise you're not going to get him.
Right.
So him going at 10:08, I'm just like, is Rico Law a Davis Maddock burner?
Yeah. All right. So we have we could go Trevor here if we want to close.
I think that's prudent.
Close it out. Do you want to go Gabe Davis? Throw on this double stack.
If we do that, we're done, and I don't mind that. But then also, Chase Brown is interesting, and a different running back is also interesting. But I kind of like the pockets that are coming up. So,
would you? So do you have a preference there? Do you like Chase Brown, Gus Edwards, Gabe Davis? We also have Eckler if you want to throw him on our Jaden Daniels stack.
I have a tough time taking Eckler, but
I do too. He's not somebody to take a lot of.
Yeah. You know what? He might come back around. Let's grab Chase Brown in this build. If we're going to do like 5-6 max, he makes sense of let's get a piece of an exciting offense. I don't have a ton of Brown, but I mean, again, at this price in a CMC build, it makes sense of bet on an exciting athletic back in a backfield that has produced so many huge overperformers or at least huge spike weeks, and see what happens. Like I don't love it, but it makes sense, especially given how we've already built out the wide receiver room.
Yep, agreed. I like that. So it sounds like you're not a Gus guy, not on the Gus bus.
I mean, Gus makes sense. I just don't think he makes sense on a CMC team. Okay. I think Gus is a fantastic there are guys that profile to have like really high highs, but potentially really low lows. And I think Gus on those anchor builds, for example, your Jahmyr Gibbs, your Breece Halls, potentially, guys like that. I think Gus makes sense if you pushed it and like he's your second running back. I think there's a lot of value there. I just worry about I prefer Gus in 0 running back builds by far. I'm not betting on him in week 17. I'm betting on him giving me, 5-6 really usable or potentially one really big week to help push me through. But in week 17, ambiguous backfield, but they also strike me as a backfield that could easily bring in someone else in camp. And I kind of just, and I think that's going to pin J.K. Dobbins. If J.K. Dobbins is looking kind of dust, I think they cut him and they bring someone else in, and that someone else could very well be a much better competition for Gus and Vidal. So I'm not excited to take him if I have CMC, because it doesn't move the needle as much as like if Gus hits, he's probably giving you like 700 yards, 800 yards, and like 5-6 touchdowns. And if Chase Brown hits, it's like a mini Eckler like reception explosion game, right? It's just what do you win when you win type of bet.
Yeah. See, I've heard that argument before, and I don't know that I don't totally disagree with that argument. And I think it's obviously a lot of sharp people making that same argument with Gus. But I'm like, are you sure? Like that's his floor? Like couldn't Gus rush for? Couldn't he just be the lead running back on a run heavy offense that is better than we are expecting with a great quarterback? Like couldn't he rush for 1,000 yards and 12 touchdowns and have spike weeks when you need him? I'm not as convinced that he has a low ceiling as
here's my concern on that. He looked pretty washed in the last few games of the season. Like they just could not get anything going between him and his running compatriots on a Lamar team where we know it's a top 5 O-line and we know Lamar creates rushing lanes. and he was really struggling to get over. I mean, I remember betting this like 5 weeks straight of like his rushing line decreased by a yard every week, and it started at 45 and then it ended at like 40. And so that's not a guy I want to bet on when it's a week 17 focus. I think he could be huge for the first few, like the first half of the season, but I worry about down the stretch because he's an older guy who had an ACL. So I worry about juice over the course of the season.
That's fair. We almost got Gabe Davis coming all the way back to us.
I had a feeling we
Last
could
couple.
try to get him. That was close.
Yeah, we had a shot. We had a shot there. This is sort of by ADP. If we go by rank, it's Nick Chubb at the top either way. Not somebody I've drafted a ton of. I do think like he's probably worth taking when he falls significantly, so I'm not totally opposed to it. We could also go Friar. We do need to start some tight ends here. What do you think in this range?
I love Lloyd, and then outside of that, we could fuck around with tight end, or we could be done at wide receiver.
Is there a wide receiver you like here?
I Polk correlates really well, and I like his profile a lot. So that would be my lean, unless you want to go, Chandler or Fryermuth. But I think that's a wide receiver room I'm very comfortable rolling with over the
Yep.
course of the season.
So we're at 7 wide receivers. We're probably going to be a 3 tight end build. So we're up
And I
to
think that's okay.
10. So then, is this a team that's going to be okay with 5 running backs? Do you think?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I
like I
think so.
said, CMC makes a lot of running back builds work, but we got, almost 2 rounds of ADP value on Stevenson, who at a ninth round price could just be, Brian Robinson from last year splitting time with Antonio Gibson on kind of a shit show offense with a quarterback that had a lot of rushing to himself, and B Rob still crushed. So I look at it not too different of a bet there. And then we have Chase Brown and Lloyd, who present us like really exciting standalone and contingent value upside. So yeah, and then also no overlapping bye weeks.
Yeah, right.
So I think 5 running back build I'd be very comfortable with. I could be convinced for 6, but I think we might value a quarterback addition over a running back addition at that point.
Emo Cowboy, a bye week bro. I never would have guessed that you're a bye week bro. Are you very cognizant of your bye weeks?
I wanted to say that we avoided any overlapping bye weeks without putting it on a focus. And so from a standpoint of, does this need a 6th running back from an advance, because bye weeks are an advancement thing, right?
Yeah,
So if we have no overlapping, I'm even less inclined on a CMC team
agreed.
to to be worried about that. But I mean, I'm not gonna try to hamper my advancement isn't everything, but it's already a hard enough contest in
Yeah,
BBM as it is. I'd like to get, if I think I have awesome ass player takes and awesome ass fades, I'd like to get as many of those into the swirling vortex of the playoff gauntlet as I'd like. And so, I've been watching some streamers like going like, fuck the bye weeks and like
right,
quarterback and tight end. I'm like, that I don't want to hit like a 4 to 5% dock and advancement rate just for the lulls if I can avoid it, like
right.
without going out of my way.
Thank you. I mean, I've always been a big time bye week bro. So I'm happy to hear the community coming around. Although I also have to capitulate a little bit on the week 17 game stacking. I've always been kind of like, I feel like that's a little bit overrated. People talk about it too much, and I think the data does not support that take. I think Leone has done some research. I've seen some things where it's like, yeah, I am trying to focus a little bit more on those week 17 game stacks. Yeah, Stephanie says she doesn't know what happened in those past few rounds because she lost connection. That is pretty brutal, but looks like it turned out okay for you. You got Rico Dowdle, who I don't know if you heard, Stephanie, but he is going to be in a running back room with just 2 to 3 running backs active. So
Correlates
that's
with her
that's good.
Ferguson pick too.
Oh yeah, that's true. You got a correlation there.
She famously hates Zeke, so I have a strong feeling she starred, and she can say she has no idea. I
Yeah.
know Jesus made that pick.
What
Sure,
happened?
it
Yeah.
was the star method. Let's be honest.
Well, she said earlier that she has the leg up ranks in, and I know that I've gotten a
Yeah,
lot of Rico Dowdle using the leg up ranks.
they
I go back and
love
forth in my rankings there.
they love Rico, man.
Yeah.
I'm less enthused.
I'm moderately enthused. Like I think he has the upside of being just the starting running back on the Dallas Cowboys. Like a good offense, he might be the starting running back. He was fine last year. Like he wasn't like a world beater, but he wasn't bad either. So I'm into it where he's going. Like I'm not like super into it, but where he's going, I'm good with it.
I think if they thought he could be the starting guy, they wouldn't have brought in their former starting guy that they trust and love a lot. Is
No,
my
they did.
pushback.
Come on, they brought him in because Jerry Jones fucking loves his Dusty, the guys who have been
And
around forever.
and Mike McCarthy loves Zeke's booty cheeks. Like these are just facts.
You're not wrong. That's a good point.
That man has an affinity for Zeke's ass.
Yeah. Well, he also, I think he said that he likes Zeke touching his ass. I think is part of it also. So it's a
That's what
combo
I'm
there.
saying. There's a lot of ass play in the Cowboys. Broke back Zeke, am I right?
Um, Man, there is a running back. I don't know. I'm saying this too all too early. Actually, I like the tight ends here. I feel like we got some good picks, good options here for
I
us.
agree. I agree.
I was hoping for Jawan Johnson there, so we lost one
Who
of
do we
those
have
tight ends.
available at
I
tight
really
end?
like Khalil Herbert,
Yeah,
but
same.
Isaiah
But we
Likely,
might.
Noah Fant, I'm good with. I'd be more inclined to go with Noah Fant as a tight end one than Isaiah Likely. Go Chig, Kate Otten.
Otten does correlate. I like Herbert a lot, and that's
Okay,
a fun five running back room.
yeah,
Can't be mad at that.
another non-bye week. Although I'm hoping he gets traded, so
So
who
we
knows?
probably get a tight end here. Is my thought.
Yep. Do you have a preference between these tight ends?
I'm fine playing the ADP. I don't love any of these guys, but there's a reason why they're priced like this. So I
Okay,
probably
Kate
just
Otten is the top. Do you prefer Otten or Conklin?
it's probably Otten just because we made a bet on Tampa Bay, and there's a chance that Baker comes all the way back around and we get a double stack. And if not, we just made a bet on, hey, we feel pretty good about getting all the touchdowns from this offense because Otten's only had like two spike weeks, but it was both with touchdowns in the red zone. So
Right.
when you have a tight end room like that, I I have a hard time. Like he's not good, but he's going to run all the routes, and that Higby type of bet for years and years and years at this price has been an easy win, which at tight end is all you want. So
Yep, absolutely. My only big inclination there is I don't really like Isaiah Likely as a tight end one, just because he's like might be a zero for several weeks. Like you kind of need to build in some points at tight end. Do you agree with that? Is that like just like he doesn't make sense to me? I mean, if I had Lamar, I would probably do it anyway. But outside of that scenario, I'm just like I don't really want to bet on a team's tight end two as my tight end one. Doesn't feel just
yeah,
safe to me.
yeah, it's hard to disagree with that because they can talk all they want about a two tight end set, but they've yet to do it. Like Likely's been good for a while now. They haven't really utilized him in two tight end sets, and they drafted Devontae Walker. They signed Bateman to an extension, and they've got Flowers. So, and the Todd Monken offense leans more towards vertical receivers more than it does two tight ends. So yeah, Isaiah Likely seems like a contingent guy, and I don't love making that bet in the top 180 at tight end. I think
Right.
he's really interesting leverage in a room after that, but like he's fancy Dawson Knox, like a guy that his standalone role is not very valuable, and his big upside is just losing another guy, and he's much more talented. But I'm just saying, like he's not the guy on his offense, and in 18 rounds, I think that's outside of a stack with Lamar, it feels too expensive at a position that taking zeros does hurt. You don't want zeros.
Yeah, because you only have a few bullets there at tight end. I mean,
Yeah.
hopefully, two to three. Don't really. I'm not usually doing four tight ends. So yeah, it's hard to get that wrong. Now, if I have a tight end one, it's Dalton Kincaid or Sam Laporta or something, then I'm more inclined to take a late shot on Isaiah Likely. Just like, all right, well, we've got the floor built in. I guess let's take another ceiling shot here. But as a tight end one, it's just it's a tough bet.
Also, I've been poo-pooed on the Kate Otten thing, and I just end up with Otten because I end up taking a good amount of Evans, Godwin, Baker. So like, again, if we have no strong feelings, we should lean into correlation. No, so
Yeah.
like, it's a correlation thing, and also just guy who runs all the routes. Otten ran 80 or more percent of the routes in every single week except for one last year when he ran 75%. And I'm gonna count off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games over 10 points, one game over 23 points, 2 games over 15 points. Like
pretty
that's
solid.
not bad.
Not at all. Yeah, that's
Like
better than I would have guessed. Yeah.
yeah, he's not good. And again, 2 of those games came in the real life playoffs, but like it's and Godwin, nothing on his contract after last year, mostly rookies coming up and second year players with questionable. Like it's just if the concentrated offense is Baker to Otten, Baker to Evans, and Godwin out of the slot, like hard to feel bad about that. In all honesty, so
Yeah, absolutely. Baker goes here. I was kind of hoping Baker might fall to us. We have a few quarterback options if we want to throw another quarterback on there, but he would have felt the best to me just because we already have the game
for sure.
stack built in there. Or wait, no, no, I'm misremembering. I was thinking it was Tampa with Tennessee, but that is not the case. It is Tennessee Jacksonville. We already have that one built in there.
Yep.
New England is playing the Chargers, right?
Yes. Yeah, so quarterback here, I think we have, if Levis is still there, we have Levis and we have May. So either one of those guys makes sense. Levis is a big ADP value.
Yeah.
I like that over May, I think, in this build, given how we built it out.
Yep. We do have, I'm not that concerned with the, the two quarterbacks from the same game. Week 17 to me is like very much a coin flip. Like doesn't matter
I think
that much.
tight end here makes sense.
Do you want to go Chig? Add on to that stack?
Yeah, I just spent all day talking shit about Chig, but he makes sense in this build. So
I'm not a huge Chig guy, but he is the tight end one there in Tennessee. We got the quarterback.
Let's take a tight end I hate. That sounds fun.
Love it. All right, perfect. Yeah, it's we'll probably do a third tight end anyway with our last. I guess we only have one pick left, but I think that probably makes the most sense for us.
Yep, absolutely. No, I love this. This came together beautifully. And the thing with taking Will Levis is that we did invest in his offense in Nuke really well, and we're saying Nuke is getting us there because he's having a monster season, or at least he's having weeks where he's scoring 2+ touchdowns. And in those weeks, last year, that's when Levis popped. So we've got him double stacked, but we had him skinny stacked. He's got mobility. The pass rate should increase. And now we've got both sides of the game being pushed with one guy coming back either way. I mean, that's just super fun, and it's hard to hate that. Yeah. Steph's mentioning I spent way too long in Discord shitting on Chig, but it is what it is.
What were you shitting on him about? Was he not running a lot of routes last year?
He never eclipsed like an 80 to 85% route and snap
that's not
rate.
Bad though for a tight end, 80 to 85%.
Well,
I mean, I guess if that's his peak, maybe it's not great. But
please name me another tight end on the Titans from last year, real quick.
From the Titans? Oh God, I think I feel like I know one. Let me.
Anyway, that's my point.
Yeah.
There is no reason he shouldn't have been running 80% of the routes all year, considering Treylon Burks sucks and Nuke was the only other wide receiver worth a shit. There were no other tight ends worth a shit. So why is this super athletic tight end who's got the whole room to himself not doing anything?
People were so excited about him last year. I think that was one of my better takes last year. I was not in on Chig last year.
I faded him. Yeah,
people were so. I was like, based on the smallest sample size, they were like, he was amazing, and it's like he barely played last year. Like I don't know.
Also, just housekeeping. Okay, never mind. It finally updated for me. I was like, oh, the clock's frozen. I don't want to miss a pick. So like he never really consolidated the routes and snaps like you would want him to as like the main guy. They added an influx of talent. Like Boyd's not good. Boyd looks like he's more reliable as a short ADOT guy than Burks was last year. That's Chig's whole thing is like, low ADOT yak Jonnu-esque with the occasional seam route. Ridley is a deep and middle of the field guy. Nuke is a deep middle of the field guy. They brought in Pollard. They want to have a lot of passing, which is good, but my concern is like more target competition. He's the most empty route guy. But in this bet, in this offense, we're hoping he gets like, 1 to 2 touchdowns. Are we close to being on the clock? It froze again. All right, it's updating in chunks.
It seems whenever I click away from the screen is when we lose.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just making sure you have eyes on the prize. And then
I got it.
I will, once we're done, I will come back to this. I think Ben is referencing the the Dog Pound stream last night where I answered why my name is Emo Cowboy.
Oh, nice. Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about that. We'll make our pick and then we can
So
continue.
anyway, yeah, Chig sucks, but he is athletic. The pass rate will increase, but I'm concerned he just sees like the one multi-touchdown game he had, he was just being fed
I
because they
don't
had nobody.
I don't hate Dawson Knox
I'm
as wide
slamming
receiver.
Janu here. I'm slamming
Oh, you're a
Janu.
big Janu guy. All right, I'm happy with Janu.
Go
Let's
check
do
out
it.
the coach speak index today. Mike McDaniels had nothing good but good things to say about Janu. Like everything I mean, I'm a Janu guy from in this offense. The contract was solid. Um, the previous predecessor at tight end there ran, like all the routes famously, did nothing with it. Very, very Chig-esque, except even Chig couldn't get all the fucking routes. And then but he couldn't do anything with them. Well, this offense is all yak, all like a lot of low A dot, mid A dot, just do something with the ball in your hand. Jono did that really, really well in a similar style offense, and Arthur Smith as the tight end two had a really valuable season. His season in Tennessee, where he popped and made us all think he was awesome, similar type of role, like utilizes like an athletic yak guy running with AJ Brown being the main guy. Now he's in my like top 5 offensive system and coordinator, good money, and his coach then came out today, has said just because we used tight ends in the past doesn't mean that's how we're going to use them in the
Right.
future. And he's awesome with yak. He's got awesome speed. And I'm like, okay, so we're just getting access. We're getting the cheapest access to an awesome offense as possible at a position where touchdowns matter the most. And he might also get some good yard. Like it just seems like an easy bet. Like at late round, the only way to make late tight end work is chasing guys who run all the routes and guys who could overtake and overperform in a huge way. And I think we did a really good job of capturing all 3 of those aspects
Yeah.
late, and I feel great about it.
Yeah, no, I like that pick also. And Janu was a guy who at one point was like really getting steamed up. Like right after he signed with Miami, I feel like his ADP got up to like 155 or like
Yeah,
he
he
was
was
like I
going around
remember seeing.
Henry, and you were like, "Whoa!"
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I was looking for him. I was like, I liked the news. I liked the sign with Miami. I was like, I kind of want to get some of that guy. But then he was just never on the board when I was looking for his name because he was just getting so crazy hyped. And now
and
people
now
kind of,
people have gotten bored of him because
yep.
Malik Washington and Taj Washington are in town, and all of a sudden that means that he's got to drop with the likes of part-time tight ends. That makes no sense to me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. All right, we will go over our team and the other teams that draft with us, and then we can hear your story of why your name is the Emo Cowboy. Let's tease that. Let's go through the teams first. So starting with our team, we have Jaden Daniels, Trevor Lawrence, Will Levis at quarterback, Christian McCaffrey, Ramondre Stevenson, Chase Brown, Marshawn Lloyd, Khalil Herbert at running back. At wide receiver, we have Mike Evans, Devonta Smith, Terry McLaurin, Xavier Worthy, Brian Thomas, DeAndre Hopkins, Jalen Polk. And at tight end, we have Kate Otten, Chigakonkwo, and Jonnu Smith. I think this is a really solid team. How do you feel about the team?
This team fucks. It's got just enough ugly that we should please the gods with not trying to be prideful, because the ugly teams seem to make it through to the very end. And it's got enough rookie upside. I love anytime I can get Jaden, and
Me
Jaden
too.
plus Terry is just wicked awesome. I love anytime we can get all the quarterbacks either skinny or double stacked to really consolidate the bets and get pieces of the offense. Like this came together so beautifully. I think the pockets we played like masterfully. This is a full roster bait just from the standpoint of like how we attack the room. This was fantastic.
Just gorgeous. And the bye week bro in me is just so satisfied. My heart is singing at all these different numbers I see on the screen. Just a beautiful team.
And
All
look at
right.
all those rookies with
So
some
many
dusty
rookies.
guys. It's
We got
great. It's
Jade. I
great.
mean, Jaden Daniels, love that. Marshawn Lloyd.
Oh
Some of
yeah.
the rookies that I love too. Jaden Daniels, Marshawn Lloyd, Xavier Worthy, Brian Thomas. Like these are my guys. Jalen Polk is a guy that I have not been super in on. It sounds like a lot of people seem to think that I should be more in on Jalen Polk.
I
I'm
certainly
just
do.
I'm just worried about the offense in general. I think I just can't get past hating New England's offenses, which it's
Sure.
new coaching this year, maybe it'll be better. New rookie quarterback who could be exciting. So I probably just got to get past my biases there.
Well, yeah, and my quick elevator pitch for Polk is really good draft capital, shit ass wide receiver room around him outside of that, to be very honest.
Yep.
One of the few guys, if not the only guy, that can truly profile as the ex perimeter boundary receiver. And the offense is going to be buoyed at quarterback because Brissett is at least good to average in a and coming into a role, he's like he crushed in Cleveland under this exact same like offensive style under Van Pelt with Stefanski. So he's already comfortable with that. So that buoys the floor of this offense. May provides the ceiling for this offense. May profiles as a deep passer, which unlocks Polk's upside in that way. And outside of all those things, um, like you're just getting to bet on a rookie profile at one of the cheapest prices given his draft capital, and the stench of New England. Like New England can still suck, and JJ Zachariason has pointed this out like in historical ways of like a wide receiver one on a shitty offense is better than a wide receiver 3 or 2 on some other teams or other shitty offenses. So at minimum, we're at least trying to go, hey, we're going to get the RB1 and the wide receiver one on teams that are like, if New England's bad and they're playing a lot of catch up, that benefits Ramondre ideally in check down catches and Polk in catch up garbage time. Like I don't mind attacking it through that way. We're not going and getting KJ Osborne or Kendrick Bourne. Like it's a rookie. They could like this could be a Tank Dell situation. We're just much, much better than we think. And all of a sudden, you don't care what team that guy's on because he's crushing. Amon-Ra is a great example of like, oh, we're not really excited about this Goff offense. He was a cast off, blah, blah, blah. Like I think at a rookie standpoint, it's easy to chase that. And you're getting a 2-3 round discount for like Xavier Legette and others kind of in the same, like Polk and Burton I want a ton of.
Yep. All right. Fair enough. And we got Debro in the chat saying, did I hear Antonio Gibson hype? Thinks that he is getting the usage of Kareem Hunt, except that he's good. Are you? How much are you into? I know you said you're not really into Ramondre. Are you also more into Antonio Gibson?
I mean, he's super cheap. He has a receiving role, and maybe he gets like a rushing role, or maybe just this offense is better than we think, and they split closer, and that just benefits Antonio Gibson. So I typically like to play ambiguous backfields to the cheaper back. It's just hilarious that we're doing it with New England all over again. But like Antonio Gibson showed some interesting stuff. I think the days of like believing he could be a true like crush and break fantasy.
He was like a second round pick a couple years ago, wasn't he? Like
he was. So I think those days for like he and Javonte are past us, but that doesn't mean they can't be super valuable in their roles. And I have a lot of faith in and maybe too much faith in like the Alex Van Pelt type of like Stefanski offense, making the run and pass usages efficient with who we've got. But I know he's proven as a volume player. It's just the efficiency is what I have concern over. But it's a fun, exciting, piece that, again, if they suck, Antonio Gibson, pass catching role, that's kind of what you want.
Now there's a hot take from Alex.
Yeah,
Antonio Gibson can still be. I'm wondering if Alex drafted Antonio Gibson in here. We'll continue going over some of these teams. That's funny. Alex also says Emo is pretty smart for a Cowboy. I agree with Stephanie though. Come on.
Oh, we're gonna Cowboy stereotypes. That's rough. Yeah, rough. 2024, man. Relax.
Actually, do you want to tell that story now before we go into Alex's team? How do we get the nickname Emo Cowboy?
So before I give this, guys, leave Neil a like, sub to the channel. Yes. This man is streaming all 150 of his drafts. He's bringing on top tier guests.
Speaking of guys with big heads.
Yeah, I am a massive honker up here, bro. So, and it's not because it's sharp. It's just a big fucking head. But sub and like, man, get this guy at 2,000 subs.
Appreciate you.
Fantastic content, fantastic flannel vibes. No, it's just my moniker. I'm super into emo music. Like I'm an emo head through and through. I could tell you the revival, tell you the history of it. I've actually once given my work a history on emo, and seeing a 65-year-old white male with no hair just stare blankly at you and just be like, what the hell is going on was fantastic. So big emo, post-hardcore guy. And then just, born and raised Houston native. Bendels referred to it. I wasn't quite a farmhand, but I have definitely rode a horse at 5 years old. I've baled hay. I've spread horse manure. I've done dug ditches, helped out around the ranch. So yeah, it was a nice culmination of who I am and what I am. I like to think of myself as an urban cowboy. Definitely not your stereotypical cowboy, but I've done the hot, greasy work that no one likes, and love being out, and just getting mud.
But have you watched Yellowstone?
I have not, just because I have severe ADHD and I have a hard time watching TV for a long stretch of time, which is why these streams are fun because if I'm engaging in the chat, it feels more communal and somehow less of a waste of my time. But my wife would definitely disagree with that.
All right. Well, that is my cowboy credits. I have watched Yellowstone. I think I rode a horse once as a kid, and I do own a cowboy hat. So those are my credentials as a
Well, there you
cowboy.
go.
Also, not quite as strong as yours. All right. Let's look at Alex's team. We'll continue looking at some of these teams, and then I'm going to do another draft. Of course, would love to have you stick around, Tyler, but I know you don't always have
Oh,
time.
absolutely.
Yeah, you're in for one more.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hell yeah.
I think we're all set to go.
All right. Yeah, we'll go through these teams quickly, and then we will do one more draft. So we have Alex Keaton in the chat took Lamar and Baker as his quarterbacks. Bijan Robinson, who of course is going to be used like CMC, he says. Raheem Mostert, Tyjae Spears, Jalen Wright, Kamani Vidal, Bucky Irving. A lot of rookie running backs there. He has Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp, Deontay Johnson, Rashee Rice, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Judy, Jermaine Burton, Jalen Hyatt at wide receiver, and then Mark Andrews and Noah Fant at tight end. Looks like a solid team to me. We've got Lamar with Andrews. Always love that's probably my favorite stack, probably the one that I have the most of. He has Baker with anybody? Nobody, because we kept sniping him. We took his guy Otten. We took Mike Evans. Just didn't give him any outs for Baker.
Yeah.
I guess
Oh,
he has Bucky.
yeah,
Irving.
skinny with Bucky. Yeah.
Yeah, which that's not my favorite doing the quarterback skinny with a running back, but maybe Bucky Irvin's a better pass catcher than I'm giving him credit for. There are a few running backs out there that I'm okay with it. You know, Christian McCaffrey with Brock Purdy. If Brock Purdy falls and I have McCaffrey, maybe I'd say, all right, I guess I'll use him in the
Yeah.
skinny stack. But
Yeah.
typically, I'm kind of opposed to it. Do you have any takes on skinny stacking with the running back?
I mean, in a pinch, it's definitely better than naked, and in that environment,
Yeah,
if they
it's definitely
truly
better
do
than
pop
naked.
off,
Agreed.
and it makes sense. The Bucky thing, yeah, I mean, you're taking him there in a 6 running back build with a Bijan anchor at 4, and I don't mind that at all, by the way, because if we're talking about a guy who could have a CMC like season because he's awesome and he's going to get a lot of the usage, it's going to be a guy like Bijan. So in that environment, you need Bucky to kind of like take over a huge chunk of the backfield. And if he does that, it's going to be eating into some of the pass work. So it makes some sense. It positively correlated on the whole from a season long and
Yeah.
multi-week standpoint, just kind of like getting access to the team makes more sense than not. But yeah, I mean, at that, I would definitely prefer like someone with a much, much bigger pass role a la your Kamaras, your CMCs,
Yeah.
your Breeses for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Chris goes with Mahomes, Caleb Williams, and Geno Smith at quarterback. At running back, he has Aaron Jones, Brian Robinson, Jerome Ford, Zach Charbonnet, Roshan Johnson. At wide receiver, he has Justin Jefferson, Jalen Waddle, DJ Moore, Romo Dunze, Tyler Lockett, Troy Franklin, Jalen Tolbert, Khalif Raymond. And at tight end, he has Travis Kelsey and Luke Musgrave. So he's got Mahomes with Kelsey. He has Caleb Williams with DJ Moore and Romo Dunze. And then he has Geno Smith with Tyler Lockett. As far as bringbacks, he's got Seattle and Chicago. So he did the same thing as us with the quarterbacks who are playing each other in Week 17. Which again, I don't really care that much. I don't see anybody from Pittsburgh bringbacks, but again, not the end of the world. Yeah, it looks
I
like a
just
strong
can't.
team to me.
I can't get on board with the Khalif Raymond thing over just taking shots on rookies, given how these tournaments have played out in the past. It's like I don't,
Yeah,
I get it, but like I was thinking Josh Reynolds last year in that round because if I was fading JMO because of the injury, missed time that RotoViz wrote about, like skill position players missing time early being bad, and for the suspension thing, then there needed to be another outlet. The coaching staff liked Reynolds. Reynolds had chemistry, blah, 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 blah. So like the ways that panned out weekly and season long made sense, and it did. The Khalif thing, he's been really efficient, but he's never really been as high ceiling and floor as that. And it really does. And this time around, it really doesn't seem like JMO's going to get the opportunity to be the main guy on the outside. So the Khalif thing seems too thin right now. I'd rather just take shots on, and also he's coming back from a leg injury, so there is some concern, like what is he, like his efficiency, what does that look like coming back from that injury? So I'd just rather take shots on the rookies that are definitely going to be on the roster and might be making noise at some point at this point. But I get, guy on the roster correlates, yada yada. I don't love it. I know it's 18th round, but I like to be picky about my 18th round picks.
I think I've done it a couple times with the Khalif Raymond thing, just from the, and you named it, like it was because he's efficient last year. So some of us are like, what if he gets a little bit more volume? What if the coaches see how good he was in his limited opportunities? Like he could be a smash, but you're probably right that he's not something that I feel great clicking. It's more of a, if I need the correlation, if I've made the San Francisco bet, I've got nobody from Detroit, or if I have Goff, then obviously if it's correlated, then sometimes I'll make that bet. But I definitely hear what you're saying. Of it's
And
not,
just to
it
remind
doesn't.
folks, he is a 29-year-old coming off an injury. So, and he turns 30 in August. So, like, he's not a spring chicken, and he's probably more likely to be like depth and returner type of stuff with the new rules. In which case, you could then tell me that he just gets lucky with some special teams touchdowns. But that's not usually a pick I want to make in 18 rounds, unless I'm really, really shit out of luck. Like I took golf and got boxed out. Like at that point, I get it from like you're taking your shot.
Yeah, yeah, for sure makes sense in that case more than anything. Um, Stephanie says, "Sup, Nick? You gonna draft with me, Steph? You should come draft with me sometime if you would be up for it. I'd love to
Yeah,
have you
Steph's
come
the
on
best.
do a draft with me. I've always enjoyed Steph's appearances on these shows. Now, before we review Steph's team, though, I do need to give the caveat that she said that she is not on her game today, and but was using the star method, so didn't go totally haywire. She did get her guys with the
Love
star
to get in
method
a
in some
stream
of these.
draft and just disclaim the hell out of it so that we can't roast you. And I won't. I will roast you. I do not care.
Yeah. Before we do that, I just realized as I was scrolling up trying to find Steph's comments, I totally missed that. This from Chris. Neil is now monetized. Yes, $1.99 on this stream. I am making big bucks doing the streamer thing.
Pay
Um,
Neil to unbutton his shirts.
yeah, I'll unbutton 99 cents. I'll unbutton all my
Pop it.
buttons. Um, all right, we will go over Stephanie's team here. So she has Jalen Hurts and Derek Carr at quarterback. At running back, she has Joe Mixon, Jalen Warren, Rico Dowdle, Ray Davis, Antonio Gibson. At wide receiver, she has AJ Brown, Marvin Harrison, Zay Flowers, Keenan Allen, Rashid Shaheed, Josh Downs, Luke McCaffrey, Zay Jones, and at tight end, Jake Ferguson, Dallas Goddard, Isaiah Likely. So she did the Hurts with AJ Brown and Dallas Goddard double stack, and then Derek Carr with Rashid Shaheed. So single stack there with Derek Carr. Looks good to me. I got no issues with this team. Has the Rico Dowdle bring back on the Philly thing. Anybody else from Dallas doesn't look. Jake Ferguson. So she ends up with the Jake Ferguson as part of her stack that we were talking about doing potentially on the other end of the board for our stack with Devonta Smith. She gets it on that side of the board. Did not. I noticed that she did not decide to double tap with Dak there, which I think was probably the right move. I would have been super tempted to do it to take Dak at 86 here, but she already had Jalen Hurts, so I think it was the right move. It just is so tempting to me whenever I have that possibility there. What do you think of this team, Tyler?
No, you know what? I sneaky love the Ferguson bring back on Philly because Philly year over year, no matter who their defensive coaches are and who their personnel is, they just kind of undervalue the linebackers and the tight ends kind of eat there. And Ferguson's had some really good success against the Eagles. So I think Ferguson is going to be for me an often target on my Hurts teams as a bring back. Because I know, and Gretsch did a lot of interesting, and Jacob Sanderson too, like interesting like caveats and like Ferguson at his ADP, and I get it from like a season long like true breakout standpoint. I agree that probably a little expensive versus opportunity cost, but in a tournament like this when it's like playoff weeks and single week upside, there are just so few guys that have demonstrated the ability to score 2, 3, 4 touchdowns, and Ferguson did it at least like definitely once last year, maybe twice if I'm off the top of my head. And so from like a weekly ceiling standpoint, and in a week 17 Philly versus Dallas, this is going to be for the division. It's going to be for the playoff seeding. I love having, and you're not likely to get like the Lamb bring back on anything unless you reach for it. So you then pad yourself with CLV and game script to do Ferguson instead. And I just absolutely love that. And as a Dallas fan, she gets to, have that rooting interest. I like pushing quarterback late with Hurts there because ideally he's crushing. Carr going that late, probably ridiculous. I have a lot of Derek Shaheed skinny stacks just because, this is a dude that catches 2 touchdowns. And if Carr's going to hit big, it's going to be with lots of yards to his
Yeah.
deep guys. And the touchdowns are not going to be close in the red zone because find me someone more allergic to throwing a touchdown pass inside the 20 than Derek
Right.
Carr. So yeah, no, I'm a big fan. The running back room might be a tad thin, but you're making a big
Remember,
bet on Joe
she's coming
Mixon.
from leg up, so she thinks that Jalen Warren is the RB1.
Well, yeah, obviously, and in that world, Joe Mixon plodding along for his 23 expected fantasy points with 16 actual fantasy points. Jalen Warren with his Arthur Smith revival tour. I probably don't do one of Zaire, Luke McCaffrey late to add another dart running back, at least this early on, because I'm not nearly as confident on Ray Davis as some other of my fine community folk. But again, that's like one critique is like you probably could have used one more running back in that build,
I think
but
that's fair.
fun team, fun build, fun textures. Especially if we caveat with, needing to get ready for the AC repairman and losing power and a fire alarm and my shoe was untied and whatever else excuse you want to throw on there, Steph.
And Stephanie did say, and I think she was responding to me saying that she didn't double tap with Dak there. She said, I may have if it was me there. So I think that she lost the stream at that point, maybe if that's what she was responding to. But either way, I think it worked out better the way it worked out anyway, even though I definitely would have been tempted to do it with the 2 early quarterbacks. I think, the team worked out pretty well. She says that's fair. We get a couple of that's fair. So you never know how to interpret that's fair these days. If you watch ship chasing or I guess it's ADP chasing, I don't know. That's fair. We don't know if that's a derogatory that's fair, if she's actually agreeing.
It's always derogatory. Unless you say non-derogatory, it's derogatory.
That's funny. The other thing I want to look at is where the hell did Nick Chubb go? Because we had multiple people talking about, I thought about taking Chubb pretty late, and
probably like what 147.
We actually talked about taking Chubb here.
No, you did. We did not.
You're right. You're right. I talked about taking. He fell to 152.
152. Yeah.
I mean, so that's the thing. We are on the same team as far as like neither of us is on Team Chubb. However, here's where we deviate. I guess is to me it's like I don't want to have 0%. So I feel like I got to get him when he falls to pick 142 or wherever we had the shot on him there. Like that's where I'm willing to say, okay, I guess I'll take a bet on Chubb at pick 144. I think that's where you and I diverge.
Well, and my caveat there is his profile is scary to be, and Alex kind of like the bear case is that Chubb is a hollow version of himself. And what is that giving you? At any top 170 ADP, right? Like if he is struggling really rough, like his whole game is predicated on being extremely efficient with the touches he gets because he's never been like the 30 plus. He rarely gets 30 plus touches, blah blah blah, 25 plus touches. So
getting in one now. Just you can continue talking, just letting people know if you want to join us.
Yeah. So like it's the worry is he's very likely to start on PUP, which we know the market will double count. We expect like median outcome, he starts in the PUP. So if you want to have 0, but you're worried about getting him, look, he's falling now. He just fell to 150. So like the market's saying in some of these rooms, especially piss boy rooms, he can fall to a spot where like if you want to take him, the risk is mitigated because of the cost. But my philosophy is if I see a potential landmine from a health perspective, I don't want to get trapped with, well, at cheap enough, it actually doesn't hurt me. Because guess what? Leone told me any dead roster spot hurts. And
right.
There's the dead roster spot of injured player, cut player not on a team, and then there's the bench dead roster spot we all have of guy taken that's doing nana, right? And so that's the worry with Chubb is that at his age with the double ligament injury, what is the team's motivation if he's lost a lot of juice and he's struggling to like stay on the field and be good? why should the team give him a lot of carries if he's a liability for the offense? And then you worry about like what is he getting? Is he getting 10 to 13 inefficient touches? Like you didn't want that from Ezekiel Elliott last year for free at 150, 160, but you want that from Chubb, who doesn't really catch passes. Like that's where I want to push back on like if the median to worst outcome for his injury and his age plays out, he's hurting your roster by you knew this was a risk and a liability and you were clicking accept anyway versus and where he's going, like there are Bucky Irving, Ty Chandler, like that those are guys at 150, 140 that like I'd much rather have those guys because they're healthy right now and the upside of them is not known. And we don't know who Nick Chubb is right now. We don't. He's not been practicing. He's not going to practice for a while. Like it's not nothing. So I mean, and there's a chance that like he's a freak athlete that pulls at Adrian Peterson.
That's exactly that was going to be my counterpoint. What if he's Adrian Peterson?
Well,
because he might be. He's Nick Chubb. Like he's a damn good running back.
Right. My counter to that is Adrian Peterson was different than Chubb career-wise because Adrian was always he was the workhorse. He was getting all the work in the pass and the run game. And I believe Adrian Peterson also, it was just a clean ACL tear. I do not believe it was multi-ligament. And that is a difference. And also this is Chubb's second time having this injury on the same knee. And it's like, those are the things that it is different. And I'm worried about that because this offense already split the work with Chubb, with Kareem Hunt, with Jerome Ford. So he can be like Adrian and beat the whatever, but then it's like, okay, you're really hoping that he's just like, he's just a spring chicken by end of season. And you're taking like, that's a big if to make in the top 15 rounds for me, knowing what I know right now, from like a health perspective. But from I don't want to be out on him, then I'd say you're going to get your chance whenever he comes on PUP and his ADP drops, or so like he's likely to solidify around here now because the market's starting to kind of like, oh, his contract reworking was kind of not good for him. And oh, they like Jerome Ford and they brought in Foreman and oh, he's going to start on the PUP. Like, I think you're going to get enough chances to get him late FUD if you want. And that is my soapbox on Chubb and health.
I like it. I like that. That was a good. Yeah, it's a fair.
And Chubb health.
I don't want to say that's fair, but that is fair. That is fair.
Right.
Let's make our pick here. We have the 11 hole here. So Garrett Wilson would be top of the board. Jahmyr Gibbs, Marvin Harrison, Drake London. Anybody you like here?
I'm Marv over these guys, and then whatever.
Ooh.
Personally.
All right. Sorry, Stephanie, if you were trying to do the Puka Marv thing. I've done it once. I've gotten the Puka Marv thing exactly once. I don't hate it though. Taking Marv at the 111. Like I'm in on Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, I know people want to bet on the talent. I mean, I'm London, Olave.
I like London.
Yeah.
To me, this is a really fun turn here. Like I know a lot of people hate it, but I'm like, man, I feel good about that. Like Harrison and Drake London, they just both feel like unlimited upside this year to me.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I feel better about London than I do Wilson. I know the whole like, oh, Wilson with the better quarterback and a better. I'm like, dude, we have no idea what Rodgers is going to be.
Yeah.
And even now in camp, much like last camp. Oh, thanks, Dom. Dom, been a long time, Bubba. How you doing? How was the wedding? We'll have to catch up and talk. Yeah. So like, last camp and this camp, like he's Rodgers is throwing to Gibson, he's throwing to Brees, he's throwing to Conklin, he's throwing to Ruckford, whatever the fuck that dude, Jeremy Rucker. I knew I was gonna find it. And Lazard, and like why? And he's done this before. Like he's thrown the ball to like Randall Cobb. So I'm like, I worry about like what is Wilson like? Wilson's very good. I worry about Hackett is a shit OC. This organization is a clown show. The likes we haven't seen outside of like New England for several years in a row. He is stupid old. There are concerns that his Achilles holds up and his compensation in his other leg holds up over the course of a full season at like what 42, 43. Like all those things combined, And then pace of play. Rodgers is a slow pace quarterback.
Yep.
Their defense is really strong. What if they just don't have a lot of volume? And I don't have any of those. Like Wilson's probably the better player, but the film guys and the analytics tell me that London is very good. He struggled with some of the worst catchable passes the last couple years. And Kirk Cousins is, if we're excited for Pitts, for Kirk Cousins, we should like Drake London feels like just taking a blank check to the bank because we know he's solid to great and in an offense that should have a lot more volume and a lot more consistency. And also, I don't think Mooney's very good. I don't think Rondale Moore's very good. And I think Pitts is a little overrated. London can be the clear-cut alpha, 110 to 140 targets in an efficient, really good offense. Like I just that floor ceiling combo is delightfully sexy.
Yeah. No, I'm very much with you. Very in on. I don't love that we have to take him at the 1-2 turn now. Like it, I love that we
Agreed.
can get Drake London in the third round. That was just felt so good. Now it's a little bit scary at the 1-2 turn, but I'm just willing to make that bet. I think the upside is there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, many people were asking, what about Neil? You know, somebody threw that out there, and then everybody's agreeing that this is just the best looking stream combo. So yes, thank you guys for this. That was what I was fishing for, so I appreciate it. Um,
I wore my corduroy hat just for y'all.
Let me look at it. Oh yeah, I like that hat. What is it? It says coffee. What does it say?
Pearland
Pearland.
Coffee House.
Okay, where's that?
I have a hilarious story about this hat, but it seemed like you had a segue, so we'll get back to that.
No, I didn't have a segue. I was just I was
Oh.
looking at the board. I was moving back to look at what the board says. Yeah, tell me about the hat.
So this hat was a gift from a friend who didn't want it anymore, and then I found out from one of my best friend and his wife were they were traveling abroad. I don't remember where they were at, but they're checking out at like a local store, and they had a T-shirt from this coffee house. And so this couple walks up to my best friend, and he's talking to him about it, and because he's wearing the shirt, and his wife walks up and she's like, "Oh, who's this?" And he said, "Oh, these are such and such from Houston. We were talking about Pearland Coffee House." And she goes, "Oh, that place fucking sucks." And he goes, "These are the owners. They wanted
Oh
to talk to
no.
me about the coffee."
Oh my God. Oh, that's
And she's
brutal.
like, "Oh," and they're like, "What don't you like about it?" She's like, "Well, I'll be honest. All your coffee tastes like shit and like it's burned." And they're like, "We're gonna work on that. Thanks for letting us know."
That is hilarious and also sad. I feel bad for those
Oh
people
no,
to
yeah,
hear
it's
that.
hilariously tragic.
Yeah. All right. So we got Harrison, London. We could. Here, I'll sort by ADP here. No Cup. Do you see anybody that you like here?
Uh, God, did Flowers go?
Flowers went.
Damn.
We could still go Lamar Andrews.
Let's do Henry and figure it out.
All right.
I don't love I don't love any of these guys, and I venture a guess that neither one of us has a build quite like this.
True. Yeah, I don't do a ton of Henry here, and he fell a little bit. Um, we'll see what sick fart does. Sick fart on the turn.
I've been I am a child. I've been waiting to say that.
I
Uh,
missed it until just now. That's great.
yeah, I was not taking Pittman there. I'm
No,
not touching him that high up.
Josh
I
Allen
think
we
we
could
should
take
just
naked.
stay ahead
Or,
with the wide receivers. I don't want to get
okay.
buried here.
All right. Who do you like at receiver? So it'd
I
be
love Cooper personally.
all right. I'm good with Cooper. Get continue building out different bye weeks.
Yeah, I think let's just get access to high floor, high ceiling guys. Henry as a modified anchor. I mean, like, what if we're talking about like who could be Adrian Peterson? Well, what about the dude that's not injured who just keeps defying age in a
Yeah.
super running back friendly offense?
People asking when flannel versus brand flannel. That's a good idea.
Oh,
probably not in June. Yeah, if I
you
can
know what?
grow the channel to the point where it's worth it to make some merch, then
You
maybe
know
in
what would
the
be
winter.
sick? A flannel hat. I'd wear the
I've thought
shit out
about
of it.
that so many times. Like, man, I feel like, especially for me, like because it is kind of my brand. Like, if I just need a flannel hat to wear.
Yeah. No, I mean, as a scene bro, it's all like flannel for like post hardcore and Midwest emo. A flannel hat would be fucking perfect.
Yeah, That's I'll think about that doing a flannel hat. But again, nothing that's going to come out in the summer because who wants to wear flannel in the summer? That's the downside to flannel.
There are some sick people that like wearing flannel because they like sweating and being human slip and slides. Couldn't be
Yeah.
me.
All right. Well, let's go over who's in this room with us. So who do we know here? I don't think I know Kadeemer, Andy Devil. That's a good name. Captain Kirk's balls. Just a lot of great names on Underdog.
Great,
Low
great
putter
answer.
ball. This ball is everywhere. We do have Chris back in this one with us. Snatch Catchers, of course, another great name. A Worden Sports. Nick made it in here with us. I don't know Spark Up. Stephanie back in this one, and then of course the famous Sick Fart on the turn.
Anytime I'm in a room with sick fart, I have to laugh. I love it. It's such a.
Have you been in rooms with Sick Fart before?
I have.
Oh, it's
I've
the
come
first time I've
across
seen it.
sick fart more than once.
There are a lot of really great names in these streets.
As a awesome username, I am a big appreciator of usernames. I love the fact that I used to end up in a lot of rooms with Danny DeVito, and I would
Yeah.
always laugh at that, and then come to find out that's one of Pat Corain's folks. Damn, I'm totally forgetting his name right now. Shit, hold on.
I didn't know this that he was associated with Corain.
Yeah, hold on. It's shit. No one's gonna help me out? Okay, that's fine. Damn it. What's his name? Yeah, and one of the dudes, he's a volume drafter, young guy. I met him in Brooklyn for the UCC last year, and I feel really bad. I'm just totally blanking on his name, but he helps out with the ranks with Corain and with the staff there. And he's
Danny Grimes.
Daniel, thank you, Daniel.
Okay. I did
Yeah,
not know
so
that he was Danny DeVito. Interesting.
Daniel is Danny DeVito, and my favorite room with him was it was me, Danny DeVito, and Egg. I swear to God, a user just named Egg right next door to Danny DeVito. I loved that very
That
much.
is perfect. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Can I interest you in what is it like? Can I interest you in an egg in these trying times?
Exactly, yeah. And I screenshotted it. I was like, this is so
That's so
perfect. I
good.
love this so much. Yeah, Ben Mills, can't we? We can never forget Walrus Balls and yes, Dom.
Yeah.
We've all been in a room with a sick fart more than once.
I think this is
Sometimes
my
the
first
call is
time with
coming.
Sick Fart.
Yeah, sometimes the call is coming from inside the elevator.
I really regret just going with player Q. Like that was just I feel like I missed an opportunity there just going with I owned the website, so I was like, I guess player Q, that's gonna be my brand. I'll take player questions. And it just I don't really take that many player questions and feel like it was a missed opportunity.
I mean, it nothing could be worse than Pete's whole fucking like reverse anagram
That is
DK
true.
name, the
Yeah, it's not
receipt
great.
verbiage trap, like that's
Yeah,
it could be worse.
right. I'm sure
Also,
Pat is very happy to lean into the Ronald Jones with his username.
well, he got bailed out because there's a new Rojo in town. So,
Wait, who's Rojo now?
Roshan Johnson, people were calling him
Oh,
Rojo
I
last
didn't know
year.
that. Okay.
I call him Roche Joe, but yeah. I mean the fact that that's his username and then he has like the famous song that he's saying, like that's
Yeah,
perfect brand tie-in,
it is.
honestly.
It is. Yeah, it worked out well.
And I will never forget him still chasing. Oh my God. I never want to forget that we as a community were pretty in on Ronald Jones in the 14th and 12th round not too long ago because he was the third string running back on the Cowboys. And we hated Zeke so much that Ronald Jones definitely had to be the guy. Bro, Sean Johnson, I like that a lot too.
That's good. That is good. Here's something that I at pick 38, I was thinking about taking Trey McBride here because we have Marvin Harrison to continue to build onto the Arizona stack. Would have been a little bit of a reach, but then I see Stephanie did it with the pick after. She had Puka, so she did it for the week
Yeah,
17 bring back there.
I had a feeling like I love to pair Marv with McBride, but I don't want to get locked out. And I know that there are some good tight ends that can give us
Yeah.
out some flexibility late, like we just built. So I'd rather not miss out on a tier break at wide receiver. So I don't mind it.
With that said, a lot of those tight ends did go. All right, we are back on the clock here. I don't see anything obvious. It's possible I'm missing something. Do you see anybody that you
Well, let's look
you
at
want
wide
to take
receiver,
here?
make sure we don't miss another tier break. I think we grab our favorite receiver and then we just see what Sick Fart does and go from there.
I'd be fine
Personally,
with Godwin, Odunze, Brian Thomas. Who do you like?
let's do a Dunze. Let's play the who's likelier to rise, and rookies are always the easy bet.
Um, Another wide receiver here. What are you thinking?
uh, I think mixing a receiver makes sense here. And I know you're a
Okay.
bye week bro, so we can grab a receiver.
All right. Godwin.
Yeah, let's do Godwin. A nice little mix of boomer and zoomer, ship chaser.
Yeah.
Show me another team with this that's not just auto picking. I
Right.
challenge you.
Yeah. This is definitely we are not afraid of our rookies. We're also not afraid of our dusty old guys.
Well, and famously, Chris. I mean, and you want to talk about market like late delayed reaction? Everybody being like, "Oh, you can't take Godwin. He was not that good outside." And then it was like the second the season wrapped up, all the coaching staff was like, "We're getting Godwin back to the slot." It's like, okay, cool. Yeah. Let him have the easier routes where 33-year-old Adam Thielen found rejuvenation. I think Godwin there is fantastic, especially when you don't get Evans. So I think Godwin's going to look a lot more efficient. And, I'm not too concerned with the volume at what our fifth wide receiver.
Right. I
Yeah.
also, this is one of those narrative things that I sort of do buy into. Was there was the point in last season where Godwin's wife, it was reported that his wife complained,
Oh,
or
that's a
maybe she
fact. Yeah.
publicly complained about his usage, and then just immediately his usage skyrocketed. It was just like, bam, now Godwin is the guy. So it's kind of like, huh. All right, feels like they just like forgot about him for a while, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, we do have another great receiver we can give the ball to."
Well, yeah,
So I'm
because
like,
all the short passes were just dump offs to Rashad.
"Yeah,
So behind every great fantasy asset is a woman that'll make sure he gets his.
that's
And
right,
you need to have that dog in you, or you need to have a wife with that dog in her. And
right." His
Godwin's
wife had
got a
that dog
wife
in
with
her.
that dog in her.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't mind
So
it.
as long as we don't get news that they're like divorced in the off season, I'm just gonna buy back in. Because what is he
You
gonna
want to
be?
talk
What would he
about?
be without her? I don't even want to know.
I shan't think about it with my Godwin bags.
No.
But yeah, and also like they have every reason to just kind of like ride him in his last year of contract. I like McMillan. Palmer's fine, but now if I think Godwin going into the slot means that it sure seems like McMillan and Palmer are the one fighting for a roster spot, and then Godwin and if McMillan takes over Palmer's role, that's super bullish, and I love that. And then also he and Godwin can kind of like mix and match in the slot. But it sure does seem like Godwin's going to get like minimum 50 to 65% slot snaps, which we just know that boosts the efficiency and and then all of a sudden, and that's another reason to be kind of concerned with Rashad White is, if Godwin's back to getting a good amount of looks and Evans is still like the touchdown upside guy, and Bucky is mixing in with the rush game, all of a sudden he's looking a little fragile for volume with a new coaching staff in town that is likely a downgrade from Canales schematically and efficiency wise, and we're not sure how will this new coaching staff want to dump off Rashad a shit ton, or do they want to like smartly give it to guys like Godwin and McMillan and
Right.
Evans and Otten instead, further than 4 yards down the field? Even though Rashad was pretty effective as a receiver, he wasn't, like CMC levels of success rate.
Yeah, I feel like almost everybody that I know who does a lot of best ball right now is not into Rashad White. So like we're all just like letting him fall. And now he's getting to the point where it's like, all right, maybe I need to draft a little bit of Rashad White. I know this is a different situation than Nick Chubb, obviously, where it's like, yeah, there is a price point where it just makes sense to get Rashad White. He's not likely to be a zero. But
Well, it's especially because he has a pass catching role that is always going to provide a pretty nice floor and ceiling. So yeah, very,
yeah,
very different. I want to make it known that like my player takes are not as strong as my health takes that I steal from the folks doing mining of the last 5, 10, and 20 years of data. Uh,
I've been looking for, as I said earlier, like I feel like that is something that I really would like to be better at understanding, like injury timelines, and that is something that is not a strong point for me. So I was making it yesterday. I was saying like, yeah, maybe J.K. Dobbins, like he says he's healthy. Why shouldn't I believe him? And then people are like, well, Achilles is, you were in chat at the time, as I recall,
yeah,
talking about like, well, it's an Achilles injury, so we have reason to not believe him.
It was just
And
like
that's
when Jamar Chase said he was built different and was going to return from his hip injury in a couple of weeks. And then the doctors were like, well, this is a minimum of 6 week miss.
right,
Good luck with that, built different. And then he missed exactly 6 weeks. It's
right,
crazy how medicine works.
yeah,
Also,
yep.
yes, London is going to fuck. And I hope he fucks hard and fast to the moon.
Me too. Big, majorly
Big,
in on Drake London.
big loads need to be unloaded for
Big
London.
loads, big loads in London. Big
That
loads
sounds like a
from
good
London.
song.
I don't know. Yeah.
Big loads of London. Ah, woo.
Oh man, looks like are not going to get Ferguson here. I was kind of hoping he would fall to us.
It's
No
okay.
such
I think
luck.
this is a great spot for running back.
Who you like?
Let's check out the tab. Oh, you know what? No, my bad. Kyler, definitely Kyler. Your the
Oh
ranks are
yeah,
fucking me up. Yeah. I
yep.
was like, wait a minute, we had a play. Let's not forget
Hell yeah.
sweet, delicious Kyler. We were definitely not getting him back. I'm surprised Steph didn't take it.
I am also
Take it.
surprised that Steph didn't take him. All right, now running back. I would assume
Um,
Jalen Warren.
Brooks correlates. Warren is nice, but Brooks correlates.
All right,
So
let's go Brooks.
that's what I'll say.
Yep, that is strong. I'm assuming that Stephanie just had a fire alarm, lost her internet connection. And forgot to use Davis's star method. So that's, I mean,
Or maybe
gotta
she
gotta
thought
go with the star method.
she could push it again. And no, you cannot. No, she
She
just
knows
wanted.
better. She knows that we have Marvin Harrison. Yeah, we're
We
well
gave her a
covered.
nice sacrifice of Warren. That's the goddess found that plentiful.
Yeah, yeah, that is true. That's all. I mean, as a leg up person, all she really wants is more Warren.
Imagine taking JSN over Kyler Murray. I simply could not.
I like JSN, so I don't hate the JSN pick, but love Kyler Murray this year. All right, she says she has other options out there.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Me too. The other options are my phone's blowing up with all my options. I am very in desire and very wanted as well.
I mean, let's take a look. So she does have so she's got the Purdy. She's already built out the she probably doesn't want us to read out who her other options are before it comes back, but Purdy would be he
She
does
went double
frequently
elite
fall.
tight end. That was interesting.
She did go double elite tight end, which I don't hate that at all. You get the nice floor ceiling combo with McBride, and then just additional ceiling with George Kittle. Obviously has JSN fallback. So yeah, she does have and of course Puka.
She
So she
didn't want
has
to
some
get
nice.
locked out of wide receiver and yet took a wide receiver 3 in the top 85 picks. Curious. Curious.
You're not a JSN guy.
I mean, it's hard to ignore both ends of the spectrum, right? Like he really flopped year 1. We know the wrist
Did he
injury.
really was he that bad in year one? I
Yes.
mean, the wrist injury was a thing though.
Wrist injury was bad. He from like a ADOT and a target and an air yard share was not very good. The guys around him stayed good to great. They're staying in town. The one thing you can talk about is Shane Waldron is kind of a donkey and used him as kind of like a screen merchant, which is not his profile, and I get that. Um, but at the same time, like a guy who should be like that athletic, should have done more with it. And the new offense is saying we want to run the ball, we want to focus on the run to open up the pass. And I am excited about how this vertical offense can be. I'm excited about how the play action can be, but I'm a little worried about what wide receiver 3 on a above average offense that's going to run the ball a lot is going to do for my teams in the 7th, 8th round. Uh, is kind of where I'm having a tough time with it because I still like Lockett and I still like Metcalf, and I just don't see a reason for JSN to be that. I don't see a reason for him to be anchored to ADP where he was going last year, given how the year ran out. Is just where it's just tough.
79th of all players in yards per route run, so pretty middling there. Not really 1.39 yards per route run. Not great from that perspective. I'm just looking up some of his stats. Tyler Lockett comes in at 54th there, so definitely a little bit better. And then where was DK Metcalf in yards per route run? I don't see him. But yeah, I think 23rd for DK Metcalf. So yeah,
And
not.
and
I thought he was a little bit better than he was.
yeah, and DK. Well, and that's what we have to tell ourselves to keep taking him. I just wish he was cheaper. Is my issue. I don't think he. There shouldn't be a reason he's going where he's going, except for just. I mean, and to be frank, like people thought Lockett would get cut and he'd be the wide receiver too, and that's a different story. But then he
Yeah,
wasn't, and it's like,
right.
when is he going to fall closer to? And I'm like, well, I guess this is just the tier. But last year it was very prudent to just like skip that tier and go to the next tier of guys who have the same amount of questions at a cheaper price with potentially better outs. So like I arbitrage wise, I'd rather have the Shaheeds, the Locketts, the Cortland Suttons, the those guys.
All right,
Let's see.
Stephanie gets her Purdy. All right, so we got nobody from Arizona that we need here. Uh, Njoku is gone. Can't add to our Cleveland stack. Anybody standing out to you here?
We either take our preferred receiver or preferred running back here. Do you have a strong feeling?
Not really.
Let's get
Uh,
Singletary.
yeah, Singletary was gonna be my call out there. He does share a bye with Jonathan Brooks, but that's not the end of the world. It's a tiebreaker, but I do like Singletary better than Javante there.
Yeah, I like in a build like this where Brooks is likely to need some time, and then I think we get another receiver.
I
We don't
don't
want to get
hate
locked.
Josh Palmer here. Gives us
Ugh.
another
Who,
out.
who else do we have? There's got to be something more fun.
We go Gabe Davis, Mike Williams,
That's
Jacoby
it.
Myers, Rashid Shaheed. I don't hate.
Shaheed or Jacoby for me.
All right, let's go.
Shaheed. Wait, who's? Yeah, Jacoby correlates, right? Yeah. Yeah, let's do that.
All right, yeah, we got our Jacoby there. You're
Yeah.
so I kind of like Josh Palmer as a what if he's the wide receiver one on a
Oh my
Justin Herbert
God.
led team. He wasn't
Really?
that bad last year. Come
We're
on,
gonna do
Josh
that?
Palmer. Yeah, we're gonna do that.
All
Who
right. All
says that
right.
this tiny little Mario head looking guy is gonna come in and be the wide receiver one? Like I just don't buy into Lad. I mean, I not that I don't buy into it. I'm just not as convinced as everybody else is. Everybody's like Lad McConkey gonna come in, gonna be the wide receiver one. He's gonna crush. And then I'm like, are we sure that he's better than Josh? He's a rookie. He's a tiny little rookie coming in.
Are we sure Josh Palmer is good?
I mean, maybe good is an
The
overstatement.
pause. I love the pause. No, go ahead. I'm listening.
It's just a like everybody's making this assumption that this rookie is going to come in and be better than Josh Palmer. Josh Palmer 1.89 yards per route run last year, by the way, better than T Higgins, better than Tyler Lockett, better than Rashid Shaheed. Like he was actually from a yards per route run standpoint, at least, was pretty good last year. Only played 10 games, but he was playing behind Keenan Allen last year. He was playing behind Mike Williams last year. I think that he is the veteran there in Los Angeles. If Lad McConkey doesn't come in and light up the football world with all of these guys who are triple his size on the defensive side, if he doesn't come in there and just absolutely shred, I could see Josh Palmer just like being a wide receiver one this year.
Okay, let me push back very quickly. Let me see where we're at. Okay. I hear you. I see you. I validate your feelings.
I don't feel
Uh,
hurt.
you feel stronger than I do. All right, here's the thing. He had 100% route rate in week 4 and week 6 and week 7. That was good for 8 targets, 7 targets, 7 targets for 3 receptions, 4 receptions, 5 receptions, 1 game over 15 half PPR points. And then another 100% route rate week 16 against Buffalo, 8 targets, 1 red zone target, 5 receptions, 47 yards, less than 10 point.
So
10
you're going
PPR
to use
points.
the season where he was playing behind Hall of Famer Keenan Allen and
Keenan
very good
Allen
player Mike
famously
Williams?
missed lots of games to an injury and sitting out the back half of the season. Mike Williams went down early. Quentin Johnston sucked. Like this was a he had opportunities to run as the full guy, and he did. So here's my concern is this is a new offense. Greg Roman famously has a very elementary style passing offense that's not very efficient or good over the course of a season. Palmer, 18% target rate, yards per route. Like I think he's a good contributor, a good second or third receiver. But I mean, this is a team that did choose to draft Quentin Johnston and hope he was the third guy and not Palmer. Injuries forced him back on the field. He's fine to good, but we're talking about Ladd McConkey. I understand the red flags with him. The thing is, though, they're talking about him having inside and outside versatility, and he has high draft capital, and he had an insanely good yards per route run in his usage on a team with a lot of NFL players, and that's got pretty good signal. And I think if someone's going to be like the wide receiver one that's got a lot of strong targets, I think it's far more likely that it's Ladd than Palmer at this point, because we have to remember that everyone besides Ladd is from the old coaching staff, and we're not guaranteed that they're going to use the guys like we want them to. And if Palmer's role is the deep role, that's a lot less likely to be like a heavy target share in a run first Greg Roman, Jim Harbaugh offense. And I don't know if this passing offense is going to be very, very useful for fantasy. And if it is, I think Palmer's got like kind of like a Gabe Davis style upside with like deep targets, but he doesn't strike me as like a heavy wide receiver one, like target alpha. And Ladd does from like a slot outside versatility. Whether or not he can and will be that is a different story.
Right. We don't know what Ladd is going to be.
Yeah.
I get it. He is just he's the black box. He's the guy that what if he is this? And Josh Palmer, we think we know what he is. We do have the Gabe Davis possibility here if we want him.
We know Kirk is an auto, yes.
Kirk is what?
On auto pick here.
You want to go Kirk?
Yeah. We made a pretty big bet on London, so I don't want to get locked out of
True.
a potential 2 QB build.
Who does Sick Fart have though? I think Sick Fart, I'm just assuming is, well, he does have a stack.
What are we getting out of here? Nothing's really like jumping out at me that I have to have, so I don't want to fuck around. Because a Kyler Kirk team, I'm very comfortable with that.
I have so many Kyler Kirk teams. Like I feel like this combo just comes to me all the time.
It comes to you? Just like never mind, I'll leave that alone. Let's see.
Kyler Kirk.
Kind of do whatever we want here.
Yeah.
Check the week 17.
I don't think we have any Rams. Anybody from Washington? Nobody.
Neither one of us likes Eckler, and here he is again falling.
I mean, we could take the rare Eckler. We could go Dowdle. Ford, I don't hate. I like Ford, Charbonnet.
Ford or Gabe Davis for me. We should probably do running back.
Let's go Ford. I do like Ford here.
I think that's prudent.
We're betting against. We are betting so much against Nick Chubb. Let's just bet on.
Yeah, because we hate Nick Chubb and we hope he does. No, we're just kidding.
Nick Chubb as a person. No.
We hate the ADP and we hate the outlook. RIP. So I think I'm much more interested in Palmer than I am QJ, but I'm worried that what if the coaching staff just decides they want to get, because here's the thing. So a few months ago on one of like the Leg Up Dynasty pods, they were talking about like QJ and Marv and all this stuff like going into the draft, and how coaches like Harbaugh, like they're like, oh, the guys I played against in college, those are the guys. They made the joke, and then Harbaugh literally goes like, QJ, he tore us up in college, and people were like, he didn't though. But like, so I'm worried that like, does Palmer even get the opportunity to like mix in for the wide receiver 2 spot with this coaching staff? We don't know what they're doing. We know they're going to give Ladd the first crack to be the guy. We know this passing offense is probably not going to.
Why are we so sure that they're going to give Ladd?
Because they drafted him highly. I mean, that doesn't seem like rocket science.
Okay, yeah, but like they'll give him the first chance, I guess, in camp maybe. But like that doesn't mean that he's going to get those opportunities in games.
Why are we acting? Neil? Why are we acting like this is a 5th round pick? He was drafted at the 202.
Sure. All right.
Oh, come on. They're going to give him the first crack in camp? Brother, Greg Roman famously trotted out some garbage cans at wide receiver for Lamar. like the super athletic guy they invested the 2nd overall pick in the 2nd round after Pat. Let me paint it in the most bullish way possible, if you'll allow me. Not only did he have a stupid, insanely high yards per route run, which is a pretty damn good indicator And he didn't play as many routes as we have liked. Some of that was injury. Some of that Georgia Bulldogs go Burr. Very good players. Jermaine Burton famously was on this team at one point. Brock Bowers, target hog, blah, 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 blah. All that aside, this Chargers team passed on Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors in the first round, and they said, we're going to get an offensive lineman. You know why? Because our guy, Lad McConkey, who's the skeleton key this draft, is available at the top of the second round, and that
Have
makes
they
us
seen him
comfortable
in pads
passing
though?
all.
Look, have they seen him in pads? Maybe they hadn't seen him in pads yet at that point, and now they've seen how tiny he looks compared to everybody else, and they're like, never mind, never mind. How about Josh Palmer season?
He weighs more than Tank Dell. What are we worried about? Like the NFL is
Does he
trending
really?
towards the NFL is trending towards these like slimmer guys that just crush like in and out or whatever. Like he's 6 foot 186. Yeah, he's a little lean, but like my God, that does not preclude him.
He's
Again,
six foot.
he's six
All
foot
right.
186, bro. You acting like he's toe just because he's wearing a giant fucking cushion
I
helmet.
gotta be honest. I thought he was like 5'10", 140 is what he looks like to me. So that's fair. All right.
Well, sure, because he's working with the O linemen who are like 6'7" monsters. But like
Yeah.
lad's 6 foot 186. He's gonna get a full off season in an actual NFL like nutrition and workout regimen. College, like I mean, Georgia's not nothing, but like college workout regimens are not the same thing as NFL. So hey, I'm just combine. Go. That's what I'm saying. People just want to hate this small man. And it's like he's not small, he's just slender. And oh, famously, Devonta Smith cannot be good because he's under 190. And
Sure.
come on, what are we doing? Like these big fast guys have been worse than the not big fast guys at wide receiver.
Yeah. All right. I mean, to be clear, I'm not out on Lad either. I do like Lad. I'm just trying to make a good argument for Josh Palmer, and I think one of
For
the
sure.
outs is if Lad does not come in and set the world afire. But yeah,
The thing with
I have
Palmer
been
is
in.
I think he's more likely to just kind of sit where he's at or fall, given how camp works out. And so he's not a priority for me unless I have Herbert. And so like taking Palmer there was like, why? I think there's a better, more high upside pick, but also arguing it's good for engagement. So you got to
It is. It is good for engagement. Rashad Bateman. JWax goes Rashad Bateman at 153. Now I am back in on Rashad Bateman
disgusting.
this year, and I feel really good about it. He is a great football player who just needed his health. He needs to get opportunities again. He's going to get
Sure.
those opportunities this year. All right, we are on the board here. We're at 2460. We are not doing the elite tight end things at all. Any strong leans here?
Let's get a tight end.
Jawan?
I think Juwan or Hunter, I'm good with.
Uh, all right, we got
And then
Jawan. That means I wasn't quick enough.
let's look at wide receiver real quick. Just want to see if we're gonna miss out on anything. Uh, duh, 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 duh. Eh.
Roman Wilson is there. I don't hate that. Um, Atlanta. I don't see any like clear correlative pieces. Could go another tight end. Could go Hunter here as well.
Hunter just went. I think let's grab Wilson, I think, but give it one last check at the receiver tab real quick. Yeah, I think I like Roman Wilson.
Okay.
Yeah. Kind of a gross spot. The Bateman thing is just like at 153, I'm just like, what? Why? I don't did I'll let you. Yeah, this is another player we'll disagree on, but I'm not as strong as I fake hate Bateman. But go ahead. What you said opportunity. He has his health. He just needs opportunity. Is that what you were saying?
I'm mostly I'm just making a bet on that offense being good. I think we lost OBJ, so I think that Bateman could be the wide receiver too. Like I think that he was getting healthier toward the end of the year, had his best game of the year pretty late. And I think, we at one point we really believed in the profile for Bateman. So it's just kind of a bet on like, yeah, now we can get him 5 rounds later, potentially healthier and a better spot on the depth chart than where we had him last year. Of course, I mean, obviously when we were taking him last year, we were making the bet that he was second on the depth chart, but now I think he has better odds of being second of the receivers. Obviously, he's behind Andrews as well, but of the receivers, I think that he has better odds of being the wide receiver two this year than he had last year. and he's going 5 rounds later and potentially healthier. So I'm just, yeah, I'm back in on it because of the price, because I think he, had some opportunity last year. I think that the way they're talking about him is they're talking about him like a guy that they believe in, like they want to get him the ball. So I think that the price is right. But also I don't think that I would take him at 153 unless I have Lamar, which no, he doesn't have Lamar. So yeah, this is earlier than I would have taken him. But I don't hate him at like if he had come to 177, I would love Bateman there.
Okay. I'll caveat it with this. He told us he was hurt all year, and he was surprised he even played the year. Would have been great to fucking know that early on. Although
Yeah,
we had the signs, so I will say I was one of the people that did not did not capitalize on that. I will note though that he had one game of 100% route rate, and he failed to eclipse 10 half points PPR in that game and for the entire season. His yards per route run was atrocious, 1.12. If we say that was all, and you might just be able to boost your volume in the StreamYard, but if we say that was all injury, okay, cool. The problem is going into this year, Zay Flowers is good. He's going into year 2 where he really popped and started dominating in targets, target share, and deep stuff. They're talking about utilizing Zay and Devontae Walker in that deep role, and Harmon has now speculated that Bateman could be back to his original good role of middle of the field Keenan Allen type for routes. Okay, cool. Passing volume is a concern because in a Lamar offense, you're not likely to get a lot of like 30 to 35 pass attempt games. And I'm saying that, let me check my work. But like they have Derrick Henry. Like it's not going to be like a passing offense akin to say, the Falcons or the Vikings. So, and you said he could be the number 2 wide receiver. The problem is that is likely the third target on that offense because Andrews and
yeah,
Zay.
for sure it is.
So put all that together, and I'm now having to bet that it's just been real bad health. And then even when he was healthy in his rookie season, his best games were what? 4 catches. And I know he had a groin and a midsection injury, but like his best games were like 4 catches for like 100 yards. Or you know what? And that seems too much. I might be giving him too much, but I'm having a hard time seeing the upside. He just seems like a floor play. I think access to the offense is fine, but I want to chase higher upside, and he just seems like a pretty low upside guy to me, given what we know, given how they've built the offense. They kept Aguilar. I just don't know how valuable a 4 low 8 catch for Bateman is for my team.
All right, so we are on the clock here. I like Demarcus Robinson as a potential bring back
Okay. I think
from
we push
Kyler.
that. I think running back is more
Yep.
prudent right now.
Yeah, who's our running backs available? J.K.
I mean,
Dobbins, I know you love him. Deontay Foreman. Oh, I guess we do have
is that really
Foreman
the?
already.
Yeah. Fuck. Take
I'm just
DeMar.
going to take Demarcus, and
Yeah.
yeah, we'll take the.
Yeah. Just give us the whole running back. Just give me the full running back tier if you don't mind. We got. Oof. You know what? Probably tight end then.
We got a rising Braylon Allen potentially. All right, we got Juwan Johnson. This is probably a 3 tight end build. So we could go Conklin. Otherwise, Noah Fant makes some sense here. Jonnu Smith, we could just get your guy now.
Well, John correlates. We took Ford.
True.
I don't think anybody else correlates, right? Or
Let's
see,
just do it.
Noah Fant. Do Fant.
All right.
Fant correlates with Odunze. John could come back around. I think we just finish out with running back and the way this panned out, I'm glad we ended up taking Henry, Brooks, and who else did we take at running back early? Like it's going to be a thinner 5.
So we have Derrick Henry. I mean, we made the early bet on Derrick Henry as our hero RB. We got Jonathan Brooks, Devin Singletary. I think that's a really solid starting 4. We didn't get any of the running backs that I love to fall. We can just make some bets on some guys that I don't take very often. So we have 2 picks left. So it'd probably be We honestly we could be done at tight end here with Jawan Johnson, Noah Fant. Like it's a thin tight end room relative to what I usually do. We could be if we don't like any of the tight ends that come here. I think we just go
Yeah,
double running back. But
I'm more likely to punt that than I am running back typically. So yeah,
yeah,
yeah, we'll play it
exactly.
out. It comes.
All right, so let me tell you why you're wrong on Bateman now.
Hit me.
So Coach Speak Index. So I'm just reading through it. All I search on Twitter, Bateman at Coach Speak Index.
Yeah.
Ravens offense coordinator Tom Monken on getting Rashad Bateman more involved. His quote is, "I expect a tremendous year out of him." John Harbaugh on which player he expects to make a leap in 2024. He says, "I think Rashad Bateman's going to take a big step. The ball is going to get to him a lot more next year." Harbaugh sports an 85% reliability rating on usage and workload. Coach Speak. I mean, that's pretty bullish to me. Both those quotes, pretty damn bullish on Rashad Bateman for me.
Did you see the quote tweet on all of that hype that a couple of the sharp folks like Ryan Fantasy Points and others were like, fade the coach speak on a staff and player that's been around for several years and boost the coach speak on brand new players with new staffs.
Interesting.
Yeah. So and so
what if the coach speak kind of backs what I want to happen anyway, though?
Absolutely. Well, so the fun thing about Bateman is it's truly like a choose your own adventure at narrative. And truly, I think it's the truth lies somewhere in the middle. And I just worry that like, was OBJ useful at all? He was an 11th round pick all year, and I don't recall him ever having a usable week, despite popping pretty efficient in all like the underlying metrics, right? Like everyone was like, wow, his routes, his opportunity, it's pretty good. 1 14.5 point game, 1 11 point game, 1 15.5 point game. That was weeks 9, 10, and 11, and that was it. And that one big game included 116 air yards and 1 red zone target.
Have you considered that OBJ is completely washed though, and Bateman is just wheels up?
If you compare the last 3 years, at blind taste test, you would accidentally choose Bateman as the washed OBJ.
you would, but he's just been unhealthy. Come on, Tyler. He's just been unhealthy.
He's been unhealthy, and yet even in his healthy season, or even in his healthy stretches, he's just like he's been fine. I think his biggest detractors haven't been completely right, and his biggest fans haven't been completely right. I don't think he's as good as a first round pick you would have hoped. Although, like even despite the injury, if he was very, very good, they wouldn't have brought in OBJ. They wouldn't have brought in Flowers. You know, when everyone else is popping, I don't know. Taking him over a rookie, it's just it feels gross to me because what if this is all just hopium? What if this is the coaching staff just trying to like reinvigorate him? I mean, like Lamar had one game over 2 games over 35 attempts last year. He had 1 35 attempt game, 1 38 attempt game, 1 43 attempt game. Other than that, you know, we're talking about like mid to low 30 attempts. We know Mark Andrews is a 22 to 26% target share guy. Flowers has been a pretty high target share. We expect him to like have a big boost. When does that leave Bateman? You know, like that's where I struggle is like at the macro. In the micro, yeah. I think if you have Lamar, tack him on. I have like Tom and I had a team where we took, I think it was like Andrews and Bateman with Lamar. It's fine. I just don't feel good about it because I think he's a small win, big miss player. I think.
Oh, see, I kind of view it the opposite. I kind of view him as like it's tough for him to not pay off if he is the wide receiver too. Like he's gonna score. He's gonna have at least a couple spike weeks, I would think, as long as he has the role of wide receiver too, which is not guaranteed. But I feel like of the guys that are going where he's going, he's the best bet to be the wide receiver 2 on his team, or to be one of the top 2 receivers on his team. You could make the argument with the New England guys, but I don't think the offense is as good. So I feel like he's the best bet on a good offense to be the wide receiver 2 in the range where he's going. And the bet is that he's going to get healthy and be better than he has been.
Okay. All right.
So that's the
you know what? Strong takes held weekly. Let running back first, then
yes,
let me peek at tight end. Are there any good tight ends?
Jatavian
Let's punt
Sanders.
tight end. Let's take running back first. Probably
sort of
let's do probably Eric Gray.
the one guy here who is not ranked by ETR, but I don't hate it. He's been getting. Oh, he's by week 11. We now have 3 by week 11.
Oh, we
That would
also
have.
cucked Singletary. That was a faux pas on my part.
Oh man, that was. Yeah, I should have looked at that closer. I think we go another running back here. I think we're fine just punting these tight ends.
Yeah,
I'd go
I
maybe
agree.
Will Shipley could be interesting as a rookie running back. I know some people are big on Rasheen Ali. Samaje
Yeah,
Perine, actually, I don't hate as like a what if he gets traded or I don't know. Could have a
let's do
better role.
Shipley. I think Shipley makes more sense of like access to a high scoring offense with a little bit of Saquon contingency because I have a feeling we're both kind of fading Saquon. So
Yep.
yeah, so here oh. Thank you, Beastburf. He makes a great point. I keep forgetting that they drafted Tez Walker, who
Yeah.
is an exciting rookie. They keep talking about him like using him like Torrey Smith. So the alarm bells in my head are saying they've added more talent. They did not give Bateman a very big contract, a very low paid contract for a wide receiver. Bateman was shocked he got paid, by the way. Like he was like, "Oh, I didn't expect that." That speaks volumes.
Did he really? I did not hear that.
Yeah,
That's great.
when they asked him about it, he said, "I didn't expect that. That was great." Um, so with all that being said, if Flowers is going to develop a deeper profile in a Monken vertical offense, and they really want Tez Walker to be that vertical style guy, Andrew's going to be the middle of the field, whatever. So I'm like OBJ pop because he had games where he had 218 air yards, 159 air yards, and like his 2 biggest games where he crested 15 points in a game. It doesn't sound like they want Bateman to have that role anymore. It sounds like they want him to have a more short, like get him the ball role, which Flowers had, and Flowers was middling until they started unlocking his deeper stuff and red zone stuff. So that's where, yeah, and Alex is saying the same thing. It's like I'm worried about the pass volume, especially now that they have. I think the pass volume last year was going to be better than this year because their running backs were worse. I think if Henry stays healthy, and that's kind of how we played it, this is going to flow a lot through Lamar's legs and Henry's legs. Phrasing aside, Bateman's fine. I don't want to take fine players right now, and I will say that if he goes through camp fully healthy, I'll start mixing him in. I don't want his price to rise because then I don't want him for the cost. But it's also like he's had so many reoccurring soft tissue and types of injuries like that I need to see him get through a camp healthy for a fucking change for me to even be interested in making that bet. Because if he's going to be injured again and they're going to have him play through it again, like there's no upside to that.
Agree with that. I don't want them to have him out there playing through injuries. Definitely have concerns. And I feel like I've made a longer,
you made a good case
argument for Rashad Bateman than I usually do. Then I really feel for Rashad Bateman. He's more of he's somebody that I mix in the 180s. My guess is that I'll be right around 8%, maybe a little bit higher on Rashad Bateman. Yeah. I know, Stephanie, apologies that we took Demarcus Robinson off of you, but you should have known. You should have known better because you saw that we had
we had the QB.
Stack. We were of course going to take Demarcus Robinson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, she went. No, that was a different turn. Okay. Yeah. We can look over our team here. Let's see if we had a lot of people were saying things that I didn't. Oh yeah. Copy paste wanted to know thoughts on Theo Johnson. Comes interesting with Darren Waller retiring. Like Bellinger hasn't really been much. For now, I don't think I would go down to Theo Johnson. I have not been drafting a lot of Bellinger, but I think one of those guys is going to be the starting tight end. So I don't hate it as an 18th round pick. Do you hate it as an 18th round pick, Tyler?
Let me ask you a question. I drafted Daniel Bellinger last year because I was fading the 5th and 6th round price on an old dusty tight end. Anyone venture a guess at what Daniel Bellinger's RAS is? Just out of curiosity.
No clue.
Would the chat be shocked to know it's like a 9.69, 9.66? Better RAS than Trey McBride. Does that shock you? It should. Yeah. So sneaky great athlete. Theo's whole thing is he's got a really great athletic profile coming out of Penn State. But that was literally Daniel Bellinger. He's more established. And they kind of use both tight ends to an extent. So my thing with Theo is if camp tells me he's acclimating well as a rookie tight end, the hardest position to learn per NFL people. If he's acclimating well and he's outplaying Bellinger, I'm all in because that's telling me everything I need to know. Median outcome is he's struggling. He's going to split time. Bellinger's like 60 to 75%. Theo's 25 to 40% is likely. They're both really good athletes. Bellinger's been doing it longer. And Theo, while interesting, does still profile as like finding these late tight ends is tough because some guys pop with no production. Some guys dud with lots of production in college, that is. And we have a lot of super athletic tight ends that never pop. It's that you can't be an elite tight end likely without a very good to elite RAS. RAS is not the leading, like this is likely what they do with good, good opportunity, but the opportunity matters. And I also don't have high hopes for this offense outside of what they can manufacture for Neighbors and the occasional Slayton or etc. like long touchdowns. So
Hyatt.
yeah. So if he wins the job and he's free, yeah, I'm definitely interested. But I'm skeptical of that. And Waller hasn't even officially retired yet. And Dayball kind of slow plays some of the rookies like he has with like Hyatt and Wandale. So TBD. I don't expect much, but if he does, I will adjust very quickly, a la Laporta, who I will note had a much cleaner like coming into his own role than not. I mean, like famously, McBride was a second round pick with a really great college profile coming out and got cucked by Ertz until Ertz got Hertzed. So I will remain skeptical on guys like Theo or who's the other guy that got picked that was really athletic?
Jaheim Bell.
Jaheim Bell and Sennett, even Sennett.
Oh, yeah.
Sennett could be McBride all over again, where he small win being like, and McBride was free because of Ertz pretty much, but like Cliff does, like coaches do lean on veteran tight ends when available. So if you're not coming into like Jatavian Sanders is probably coming into like the cleanest environment from like can be the clear cut guy. And we have questions about like his college profile and how good the offense is. And I'd wager if you're worried about the Panthers offense, you should be worried about the Giants offense.
Yeah.
So
I think that is a good, I like that analysis. And I think it is like right now, I think we're drafting in the late rounds, largely trying to avoid zeros. At least that's the way I'm drafting right now. It's just like, I don't want to be taking zeros in those late rounds. So to me, if you want to be in on Theo Johnson, I would just like monitor Theo Johnson news very closely so that once you get some indication that, hey, he might like he's likely to be the starter or he's likely to get some run, then maybe make that bet. But as of right now, like I think the odds are just too high that he's like just a stone zero for you this year. So would not be wasting a roster spot there yet. But I do think like he could be something like there definitely has the possibility of hitting there in a pretty significant way for an 18th round, but just like the floor, which is he's likelier to be a zero than like a smash, I would say. So I would hold off for now.
At a position, mind you, that like the bar is already so low for mattering and there are better bets to make right now. Tucker Kraft is kind of good and splitting the backfield, and he's an 18th round pick on the regular in a really good offense. Theo's median good outcome is splitting roles with Bellinger on a shitty offense. So it's like, even if you're right that he's emerging, it's not likely that this is like a Laporta or Kincaid style rise. Like I think his ceiling is Sennett in like the 150s, and people are excited about Sennett because he was hashtag really good analytically, and he's connected to like a very strong offense that feeds the tight end. People, I mean, we're drafting what, 2 Giants players in the top 150. Like you're gonna be fine. He's not being drafted very much right now. You want to avoid zeros, and push your chips in if and when the time comes later on.
Yep. All right. Should we go over the teams that of those that drafted with us? Starting with our own as usual. So we drafted from the 111. We have Kyler Murray and Kirk Cousins at quarterback. At running back, we have Derrick Henry, Jonathan Brooks, Devin Singletary, Jerome Ford, Eric Gray, Will Shipley. Wide receiver, we have Marvin Harrison, Drake London, Amari Cooper, Rome Odunze, Chris Godwin, Jacoby Myers, Roman Wilson, and Demarcus Robinson. And at tight end, we have Jawan Johnson and Noah Fant. I liked our first team better, I will say, but I do love a Kyler stack. Kyler and Marvin Harrison feels good. Kirk and Drake London feels good. Looks like we just single stack these, which I think is more your style than it is my style. I think I'm typically more inclined to do double and triple stacks. But
Well,
works fine here.
You wanted the D-Rob bring back more than you wanted the Dortch double stacks. So
I actually Zay Jones was still there, and if I had realized it, I would have probably gone Zay Jones instead of Demarcus Robinson. Yeah, I think that they are similar bets. Do you prefer the Demarcus Robinson over Zay Jones there?
Yeah, because I think Demarcus Robinson's role is he's officially the wide receiver 3 on an efficient offense, and the coaching staff likes his red zone role. Yep. Zay Jones recently added to the team. He's competing across all of the positions. It's no guarantee he sticks. It's no guarantee he is a starting player. And I see no need to make that bet outside of 18th, 17th round. And even then, it's fine. But again, I think it's a sneaky, I don't want to chase fragile volume at wide receiver when I don't have to. And and Demarcus Robinson has been good on any team he's been a part of. So yeah, I probably prefer it there, considering that our first round pick was Marvin Harrison. So I'm fine with that skinny stack, and then double stacking Kurt. That was probably only going to be with Pitts, and we just didn't do that. I don't have that much interest on Mooney, and I think Mooney probably went before us anyway.
Yeah, Moody, I was monitoring him. He could have made it back to us, and he just didn't come back to where I would have taken him. I'm not reaching for Mooney. So yeah, I think it worked out just fine. It's not like I said, I don't like it as much as our first team, but it also I think it has legs. We did the 3 running backs with the week 11 bye. That was not ideal. I don't totally hate the handcuffing thing with running backs. At
that cost too. It's negligible.
Yeah, so I think this team is totally fine. Doesn't fuck quite like the first one, but it still fucks kind of.
Hey, that's ignoring that Jerome Ford. Hold on, let's see. Who does Jerome Ford get to just completely sensual fuck in week 11? Browns week 11. 2024. Your precious bye week. He plays the Saints. That's check down city, baby. Nick Chubb and his gimpy leg is not getting into the end zone on the stout rushing defense of the Saints.
Yeah. All right. Perfect. All right. So we're covered in week 11 with Jerome Ford. All right. Yeah. Totally fine.
I mean, Derrick Henry's going to score 30 points week 11, so it's not going to matter.
Exactly. We got Chris in here has Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels. Ooh. Look at those bye weeks. Huge mistake there. Those are really fun quarterbacks, though. I mean, love that quarterback room, if not for the bye weeks. He has DeAndre Swift, Chase Brown, Marshawn Lloyd, Rico Dowdle, Elijah Mitchell, Justice Hill. He has Amon-Ra St. Brown, Deebo Samuel, Devontae Smith, Terry McLaurin, Jordan Addison, Dontavian Wicks, Tez Walker, and then he has Jake Ferguson, Ben Sinnott, and Isaiah Likely. So he does do the double stack there with Baltimore late with Tez Walker and Isaiah Likely. And then he has Terry McLaurin. Anybody else from Washington? Oh, and Ben Sinnott. So he does the couple double stacks. I like that. The bye week thing hurts a little bit. You're giving up about 20 points in projection there, but it still could get through. I think this is a pretty solid team.
Dude, these double quarterback bye weeks are going to be so pissed whenever they're inched out to advance week 14. That's what I mean. Let's be honest. Bye week hit or not, the last thing I want to do is watch me competing in a pod where I have to finish first
in week 14.
And I have no quarterback to help squeak me in or keep me from getting squeaked out. That is brutal. If you have double bye week, label them do not watch week
this
14 advancement. Just look away, let God take the reins.
Fun perfect. Nick was here. He has Jalen Hurts and Derek Carr. I think that's the exact quarterback room that Stephanie did last time. He has Joe Mixon, Trey Benson, Blake Corum, Kendre Miller, Bucky Irving, Khalil Herbert at running back. At wide receiver, he has AJ Brown, Nico Collins, Zay Flowers, Rashee Rice, Rashid Shaheed, Jermaine Burton, Luke McCaffrey, Demario Douglas, and then at tight end he has Kyle Pitts and Brock Bowers. So I think the quarterback's perfectly good with Jalen Hurts. Then go late with the second quarterback. The running backs look pretty solid. A little bit light to me with the three rookies, like light for the early weeks potentially, but ultimately, again, I love Khalil Herbert, hoping that he gets traded somewhere, so he could be good week one. Joe Mixon, obviously, in that
Well,
Houston offense, could be good.
let's
Who knows? Trey
let's talk about
Benson.
let's
Yeah, yeah.
talk about
Let's
that
talk
because
about
like
it.
DeAndre Swift is never profiled as a full workhorse guy. Like what is keeping Shane Waldron from doing the DeAndre Swift what was it? DeAndre Swift what was it Jamal Williams? Who was he splitting the backfield with? But like DeAndre Swift was like usually getting anywhere from 40 to 60% of the touches, but not anywhere close to 70 or 80 for the most part. They talked about him as a pass catching guy, so it sounds like he's taking more role away from Roche Johnson than he is from Herbert. So if Herbert's getting 30 to 50% of the rushing work and he's really efficient, I mean, I think that's fine. I mean, he
Yeah,
didn't even get 100% of the work versus Kenny Gainwell. Kenny Gainwell stinks. So like, I mean, I'm not afraid. I think the DeAndre Swift 85% workload is very thin. And if I think that, then I think Khalil Herbert has a really good shot because he's much more talented and he's been trusted by the coaching staff to like be more involved. So yeah.
yeah. I think as somebody who is really in on Khalil Herbert, I hadn't even really considered the possibility that he's splitting carries with Saquon Barkley. I've considered it more of a like he is gonna have some like a little bit of standalone value as like 30% workload probably if he stays with the Bears with obviously contingent upside. But then of course the bigger hope for me is that he just gets traded. But either way, he has a lot of outs I think to being a very very good pick late, and even like early in the season I think that he could be scoring some fantasy points for you. And then, Kendra Miller, like who knows where Alvin Kamara is going to be. Kendra Miller could be, the starting running back early on. Blake Corum, we're already dealing with a foot issue for Kyron. Trey Benson, like
I
I'm,
have an
I'm
update for
assuming.
you.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Jordan Rodrigue, the fantastic Rams beat, tweeted 36 minutes ago that Arby's coach Ron Gold watches Kyron Williams' active workout with athletic trainers on the side of today's OTAs. Williams expected to return by training camp, which was consistent when McVay came out and said, "I'm not worried about his injury. He'll be back by camp." So FYI update: the Kyron fall may very well be as far as he goes, and the Kyron steam maybe as far as it goes if he's returning to camp with no issues. And so ear to the ground on that.
Yeah, that was good. That was really timely. Trey Benson, I really like Trey Benson, like as somebody that I think, but I typically draft him as I've said this before. I like Trey Benson the best if I have two other running backs that I'm pretty comfortable with in the early rounds, because I think Trey Benson could be wheels up later on in the year, but who knows? He might have a role early on. So, yeah, a little bit nervous about the early weeks there at running back for Nick, but otherwise, I think this is a very good team. Any other notes here?
No, I think it's fun. The tight end room's definitely interesting
The
profile
tight, yeah,
wise.
Pitts and
Um,
Bowers.
yeah, I mean, if both those guys hit, you're feeling really good about it. I'm not as excited about either, unfortunately. Or at
Oh,
least Bauer.
I'm very excited about Pitts. I know you were saying that you think Pitts is maybe just not that good, but I feel like he's another guy. So you're making the assumption that guys that I think were a little bit banged up last year are just like maybe that wasn't the full story. Maybe they're just not as good as I
Oh,
think they are.
so Pitts definitely was like really
He was like
banged up.
hobbled. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he had the double ligament injury as well going in, and he was hobbled in camp, and he was hobbled and had issues going into early season. And then I was way more down on the quarterbacks than some of my other compatriots, and that ended up, I mean, like just just horse trash quarterback room. So like I think his expected targets are going to be much more catchable, much more efficient. I'm just concerned that if they keep using him in like this deep role, like, hey, go attack the deep field, go attack these cornerbacks, that's just going to lend itself to low expectation completions, which I'm like, I don't know how much better that gets. So I don't know. But I think his out is he's probably better than Mooney. And I say probably he's better than Mooney.
Yeah.
And at least Mooney is there to help like take some pressure off from a vertical standpoint. Um, I don't know. I think Pitts has struggled to be used as a traditional tight end. And so I'm interested to see how they use him in a more traditional setting just for like the easy gimme targets and the like red zone role. I think in the red zone role is like pending question, because I mean I don't know, but Zach Robinson OC, I like it, I dig it. I just wish he was a little cheaper, but I'll definitely be mixing then.
Yeah, it is. His price has risen quite a bit from like when we started drafting pre-draft. He was going round pick 100, as I recall, and now it's a little bit tougher where he's going now because he's ahead of Kittle. You're getting him right after Andrews, which doesn't feel good. Like I do feel Andrews is just a much safer bet. So yeah, don't love where he's going now, but I'm still not opposed to Pitts as tight end one.
Yeah.
And then Stephanie, the final team we'll look at here, took Purdy and Stafford at quarterback. Jalen Warren, Brian Robinson, Zach Charbonnet, Tyler Rozier, Roshan Johnson, Braylon Allen at running back. Puka Nakua, Brandon Ayuk, Tank Dell, Xavier Worthy, JSN, Josh Downs, Khalif Raymond, Jalen McMillan. And then at tight end, she has Trey McBride and George Kittle, which I think this was somebody else's tight end room in the last one. So a lot of similar player combos going on here. But she has with Purdy, she has Ayuk and Kittle. So as that fun double stack. And then with Stafford, she has Puka Nakua. And then, of course, we stole Demarcus Robinson from her. But ultimately, it's a solid team.
Yeah. No,
Cognizant of
Steph's
the
always
buys.
building well.
Yeah. Yeah, no other no issues with this one. I think
I
every
made this
position
comment on
looks
Dog Pound last night about a similar team, though. Just Purdy Stafford feels a little thin to me.
a little bit, yeah.
Just because it's like Stafford is just struggling to like really give you big upside weeks. But maybe you just get him on a upswing stretch, and that's the bet. But I think Purdy Stafford, I probably prefer a third quarterback that can give me a little bit extra juice.
I think I agree with that. I would have been my preference to get one more. Let's see, who did she have that she could have thrown in there? I guess maybe Geno. If Geno was still there, could have been Baker, I suppose. Didn't have a ton of late outs from these pass catchers, so maybe just got locked out of it. But yeah, I think I agree with you. I would prefer one more. I probably would throw in another quarterback there. Could get there, but Stafford has just never really shown much of an upside, even when his like receivers have upside. She said she was going to go Geno. But yeah, either way, could work out. It's one of those, if they stay healthy, if they have the seasons that you're betting on, could work out just fine. But yeah, I think I would also prefer a third quarterback in that room. Sick Fart did not join us, but I just wanted to say the name one more time. Just a great username.
Big Bryce Young guy, Sick Fart is.
Yeah, I mean, got to make that bet on Bryce Young. He has Anthony Richardson, so just going to carry him. Anthony Richardson.
Well, no, I mean, I dig it. If AR hits like a top 3 quarterback, number 1 overall quarterback finish, which he's kind of made that bet on, like you much like the Josh Allen nuke season, you don't need a second quarterback really.
It actually looks like a really strong team as I'm just like scrolling through. So yeah, really, really well correlated. I like the rooms here. So even
Sick
though I
fart,
only clicked on it because
team.
of the name, Sick Fart, Sick Team. Exactly right.
There you go.
All right. This was a lot of fun drafting with you all. Appreciate you all hanging out with us. What days do you stream Beast for Facting? So I stream Monday through Thursday. I did not stream yesterday on this channel. I streamed on Bindles' channel yesterday. I'm going to be back tomorrow. I'm going to have the Dog Pound on here tomorrow afternoon. We're going to do a stream. And then my podcast in the evening as well, Playing for Keeps podcast. Going to have John Boy Beats on tomorrow. So it should be a fun day of streaming tomorrow. And then on Thursday, I don't think I'm going to do any streams on my own channel. Actually, I know I'm not, because I'm going to be going on Lowell's in the afternoon. And then in the evening is my dad's birthday. So this week, nothing on this channel on Thursday, but typically Monday through Thursday is when I'm streaming. I've thought about maybe I'll start doing weekend streams at some point. Right now I'm doing a UFL show on the Fantasy Points channel also on Fridays. Thank you, Bindles. Yes, this channel fully monetized, made $3.99 on this channel. Oh, you're right. We did say.
I was just popping it for you as the guest. Look at it. Neil, what a man of the people.
Yeah, and we gotta give the people what they want. I'm never afraid to unbutton the shirt a little bit. It's pretty hot here in Minnesota right now too. Yeah. Thank you. And if you have not already subscribed, you can obviously subscribe to the channel. Would appreciate that. Trying to grow the channel. If you want to get into the Discord, that is also link is in the description, the Flannelverse Discord. Oh, thank you for asking, B. Before we close, this is an important question from C40. Playing ball tonight. I do have a softball double header tonight. If I'm being honest with you, I was sort of hoping it was going to be canceled because we have thunderstorms potentially. We are missing probably our two best players are both out for a doubleheader tonight, and it's super windy. So like we got thunderstorms, like major wind. I'm just like, I really don't want to be playing tonight. So I was hoping for the cancellation. Looks like I am going to be playing a softball doubleheader tonight. So pray for me. All right. Tyler, really appreciate you coming on. Where can people find you? What do you have going on this week?
Tom and I, over on the Fantasy Football Sanctuary, drafted a super fun Superflex team. That was a ton of laughs, super funny. We had a team just refuse to take quarterback, and had a good time. Drafted a fun team over there, talked through strategy. Also peeked at my exposures. Had a shocking, surprising revelation that I have drafted 0% of a first round player through 133 drafts that I
Damn.
did not know I had 0% of. So that was a nice, tight 1 hour. So if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. Leave a like, leave a comment. Really appreciate it. We're trying to just have a good time and give you some alpha and give you some laughs. Also, I hopped on Fantasy Dog Pound's stream last night. Had a fun draft. Similar to this draft, lots of arguing and little verbal jousting. Ended up with a fun team. Definitely enjoy just getting different takes and different perspectives. I think that iron sharpens iron, a lot of iron sharpening around these parts. Had a solo stream Sunday on the Fantasy Football Sanctuary. Might start doing some Sunday brunch regular solo streams. Had a lot of fun doing that. It was really fun hanging out, but nothing guaranteed yet. Although I will say for these fine folks tuning in, little secret alpha, we hit 100 likes on a video, the Pat Crane video, and I promised the fine people that if we did that, they would get the full emo eyeliner, bangs, black cowboy hat live stream. So that will be coming to you very, very soon, and that'll be a lot of fun to give to people.
Looking forward to that emo live stream. Yeah, go check out the Fantasy Sanctuary. I don't remember if I have put it in the description of this video, but if you search YouTube for Fantasy Sanctuary, so they can go back and edit, throw that in there in the description as well for anybody who wants to go find the Fantasy Sanctuary where Tyler is doing his streams. A lot of fun, a lot of good alpha over there. All right. Thank you very much, Tyler, for streaming with me. Again, thank you to everybody else for hanging out. That was a lot of fun. And I will be back tomorrow, multiple streams tomorrow. So I will see you then. I'll update you on how softball went today. Thanks, guys. Catch you later.